Coach.
Good evening and welcome to the Sunday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID Tottenham Till I Die. That's me back after a month of travels around South America, as they say in France. Plus ça change, plus ça même chose. Once again, we have to discuss another home defeat with Spurs losing 2-1 yesterday to Liverpool, and I have a stellar panel with me. First of all, first time on in a little while, Coach Dave. Good evening, Dave. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, good. Evening, everyone. Merry Christmas. That might be the most positivity you hear from me for a little while. So here we go, guys. But no, it's good to be on. Good to talk about our club, even at this desperate time.
Even at this desperate time. And welcome back to regular zookeeper Tom. Good evening, Tom.
Hello. Yeah, it's been a little while. I think it's been over a month for me since I've been on as well. So been a while. Family life has been very busy, and work life and many other things. But Tottenham always comes along to disappoint. So, you know, that's
you can always rely on them. Yeah. Wife and children well, Tom. That's the most important thing.
Yes, they're very well. Thank you. Yeah.
And a special guest tonight. He's been on before, but an old mate of mine, my adopted grandson, Harry Scarf. Harry, you had some good news while I was away. More than good news.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me as well. Sorry, a little delay there, and really looking forward to it. And Merry Christmas to everyone as well. But as the guys have already said, still a lot to discuss. It is always good talking Tottenham. I think I'm one of those that's glass half full. I like to look at the positives, and I still think there's enough to take out of that to feel better going forward.
Okay. Tell us about your news. I know modesty doesn't let you do it because I don't see it anywhere on social media, on your Facebook, on your on your Facebook page, on your Twitter page. I don't see anything about your big prize, but you better tell us.
What, the content awards, you mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous achievement.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I won the award. Well, it's bigger than I thought, put it that way. So I won the award Best Young Content Creator, Football Content Creator, that was, which was amazing. And a little story behind it is I nearly didn't make it back for the toilet in time in my category, so I'd never moved so quickly. I think maybe I moved half as quick as Mickey Van der Ven. I consider that quite quick. But the point is, it's a great evening to meet so many amazing people. I'm very grateful, and apparently it's the whole of Britain as well. So it's amazing and very, very grateful. Amazing people around me, and just privileged to be there, third year running, but literally third time lucky. And it feels right to win the same year as Spurs won in Bilbao. So good things.
Yeah, tremendous achievement, and congratulations from all of us at Spurs Diehards.
Thank you,
Harry. Well done. I need to talk about the game. Spurs 1, Liverpool 2. When I was doing my slides this morning, same shit, different day, Dave.
You can introduce me, and if you like. I mean, if you
Oh,
don't.
Adrian! Adrian, you're
move on.
You're like a wallpaper agent.
Oh yeah,
there,
just stride like me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And Harry,
Yeah.
are your cards right? Adopted son, you might get in Ian's will. You know what I mean?
You're right. Never be said that there's a show without you, Adrian.
On the well-deserved award, Harry. Hard work and
Thank you.
patience rewarded. I know how hard it is to do this stuff because, like, I have to hold the fort when Ian's away and Tom's away and everyone's away, but we're fine here anyway. Like, we'll always function. Yeah, so
Thank you.
I'm fine, Ian, if you're interested.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just getting so used to you being there. It is.
Yeah, I know. I'm like the wallpaper.
Yeah. Absolute disgrace. By the way, these timers, by the way, where this 10-second timer's coming out of?
They've brought loads of other stuff in. I've not even looked to it in because we're fine as we are. When I get a bit of patience, because I'm too busy, boring you lot to death with video links and information and stuff like that.
So I knew this was going to happen. We all know the score. We all know the performance. Dave, let's talk about the team. Because there was some controversy about the team in terms of its balance. So what was your take when you saw the starting lineup, Dave?
Yeah, listen. Obviously, with Destiny out, Spence has to go at left back. We desperately need an out-and-out left back. Even though Spence actually played very well and is a good, competent backup left back. But I think where we fall short is the fact that he doesn't get a chance to replicate that on the right-hand side. We don't have a chance to actually see his best quality profile. His style of play actually suits our attacking threat on the right-hand side. We could have done even that in the running.
Yeah.
Of the way he plays, combination play on the ground as opposed to kind of spamming crosses, hit and hope kind of thing. I think Spence is better suited on the other side, but listen, he has to go on the left. We seem to have now kind of moved past the era of Bentancur and Palini. I think the last time I was on, we were deeply mired in the trenches of, that dynamic duo, or let me not call them the dynamic duo, in the middle of the park. We seem to move beyond that, and now it's Gray +1. But I think what's kind of frustrating for me is, Bergwijn, I'm not sure what kind of role he's playing. Is he a 10? Is he here? Is he on the left? Is he, it's kind of, when you see the lineup, you don't really know how it's going to form. I think it was quite clear from the first 5-10 minutes, interestingly, and I think actually it worked to a certain extent, that he'd taken a throwback to the PSG game where you saw 4-4-2 kind of out of possession. Many teams do that. Arsenal do it. City have done it on occasion. Just kind of shore up. But you've got those 4 central midfielders across the middle, which kind of works. And I think it just kind of kept us, in there, got us into the game quite easily and a decent enough start. Obviously, we kind of unraveled quite quickly in that first half. But listen, I didn't have many issues with it. I'm a big fan of Gray, massive fan of Bergwijn. You guys know every time I've been on here for the past year and a bit, massive fan of Bergwijn. And I think we go as he goes. And I think those two players are ones that we need to continue to build around and get them into it. Not seeing Richarlison was interesting. I thought he would probably get the start because he's getting goals. And, it's like Brendan last year. He may not be a fan favourite. People don't like his style of play. He's a bit of a dead spot on the pitch. Doesn't offer much else, but he's your top scorer. So it's that kind of catch-22. So yeah, I was relatively positive going into it, and we just needed to see a strong performance from 1 to 11.
Sure, we'll come on to that. Harry, let's bring you in on this. The team, Dave's obviously made a number of points which you're welcome to pick up on. The other point I'd like to maybe ask you about is, the one thing that struck me when I saw the team is that left-hand side. How's that left-hand side going to function? We'll talk about the sending off, so we don't really know. But what was your take on the side of the formation?
Yeah, thank you first for the question. I agree with some of the points made there by Dave, to be honest with you, in terms of Jed Spence in particular. I mean, I just think there could be a really good collaboration between him And Kudus, it just feels right. On paper, I think it could work. I just haven't seen that enough. Of course, it's Godog's injured, so we are forced into, probably playing him there. Otherwise, either Mickey van der Ven has to move out of position, or we have to play Jed Spence. Neither of those things are ideal, let's just say. So no big shock with the team other than not seeing Richarlison. But Richarlison had about 3 or 4 touches only against Nottingham Forest. So, when you're that little involved in a game, then you cannot be starting football matches, even if your stats are better on paper, they're decent for Richarlison's level. All I will say is that Richarlison loves the goal against Liverpool. So I was surprised he only got 10 minutes, but it was enough to, of course, make an impact, not in terms of completely changing the fortune of the game, but making an impact, getting a goal as well. It didn't get us any points, but it brought us back in the game, even with 9 men, which was good. So, yeah, the lineup, I thought Ian was okay, and I know we'll get into it, but I don't think the performance was maybe as bad as it's being made out. So, I felt a little bit worried going into the game because this Liverpool side were champions last year. I know that they've gone off the cliff this year, but they're still a good side, and a couple of good performances as well before coming into us. A good win against Brighton, could and should have won by more. Good defensive display in the Champions League against Inter Milan. So this was a tough game on paper, but in the end, I think we fared quite well. But the lineup, I didn't see too many issues with. Left-hand side, you're right to highlight. My only concern was it looked like Bergwijn in the 10, and I don't think you get the best out of him in that position.
And thanks, Harry. I think that's an interesting point. Tom, you maybe want to pick up on that, the Bergwijn role. I mean, I'm a big fan as well. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think he's got a massive ceiling if he's used properly with the right players around him. I mean, well, let me put something to you. The one player that never seems to get a look in at the moment is perhaps Sarr. And I would love to see Sarr, Bergwijn and Gray, youth, legs, skill, energy, ability in a 3 with Xavi as well, maybe as well.
Agreed. I would like to see youth given a bit more of a chance. You're not going to be seeing Pap Sarr for a little while anyway, because AFCON's just started and he's away with them, so he wouldn't have been able to play yesterday because of AFCON. But I think it's really difficult because, I mean, when playing Liverpool have really struggled this season against sort of like transitional sides, especially sides that play balls over the top of the defence into the wide areas. They've really struggled this season in that department. They keep rotating their fullbacks because of it. So Frimpong's not been great defensively for them. Kirkus has been questionable defensively for them. So they keep bringing in Bradley or Robertson, and they're struggling in that area. So I was really, really surprised to see us not play a single winger who can actually run in behind. Like, the fact that we went with Kudus and Bergwijn as our wide men was just weird to me. Like, it felt like Frank literally was like, right, let's get to half time at 0-0 and then we can try and do something in the second half. And at home, that just doesn't cut it. Like, for us, and I'm trying to give Frank a bit of a benefit of the doubt in that maybe he is doing what lots of people are clamoring for Ange to do, and that is be a bit more pragmatic with the fact that there's lots of players that are injured. Obviously, I'm confident that if we had Kulusevski and Maddison fit, and Solanke, we'd probably be seeing a very different style of play and a very different sort of Tottenham team. But I don't think Frank fully trusts the players, and I think that's evident in the fact that Tell isn't getting any game time. Yeah, I actually think Tell would have been probably the perfect player on that left-hand side yesterday to be running at Connor Bradley, who looked shaky any time Jed Spence sort of made a run at him. Could have arguably have given a penalty, or probably should have given a penalty away against Jed Spence and stuff, but we'll come to that later, I'm sure. I just, the lack of width yesterday just blew my mind, and I'm sure we'll go into specifics about players, but Kudus wound me up rotten yesterday. He seemed he would get the ball and he'd have acres of space in front of him, but it's almost like in his head, he's like, no, I've got to take a player on first, so I'll cut it back, let the player get back, and then I can take him on again. It's like he just never seems to make a run in behind either, which is frustrating. And when you compare it to what Frank had at Brentford when he had Mbeumo sort of on the right, Visser or Sharda on the left, which are two wingers that would constantly make runs in behind, and then players hitting balls over the top to them. Like, the Spurs front line is just completely the opposite to that, which is maybe why we're seeing, I don't know, some odd football at the moment. But yeah, lineup was strange for me. It was definitely a lineup of let's not lose.
I think that's fair. This will come on to the sending off. Adrian, I want you to pick up on two points that I really want to discuss. One of which is the number of times when we got the ball, when we were catching Liverpool in transition, that instead of going forward, particularly with Kudus, I mean, it was others, but Kudus, we went backwards, slowed the game down, whereas you'd expect a Thomas Frank side to be absolutely on the counter, absolutely at it, and going for it. And the second thing, and I think it relates to that, excuse me, is we're at Christmas and we're no further forward than we were in July and August of knowing what the best team is and what the best formation is. We're just going nowhere under Thomas Frank at the moment. Yeah,
I mean, I agree with that. And to pick up on Tom's bit, I mean, like, Kudus' decision making was poor for in the game. I mean, there was times where he could have played better balls, and the cutting back. And I think a lot of the trouble is we see a little bit against Brentford. Coach David, where were the overloads down the right and left? We had more chance of getting into on the left hand side with Spence wanting to take a man on, funnily enough. But Kudus always comes back. You got to make the decision for him. If it's Porro, he should be bombing on. He should be overloading down that side. But Porro likes to cut in, doesn't he? So sometimes you can isolate Kudus or any winger we're playing out there. So I thought on the left we were okay. On the right, I thought decision making. With regards to the team, actually, he surprised me because it's Liverpool. He's going to be negative. He's going to play Polina and Bentancur, and Richarlison's going to start. I thought Richarlison would definitely start because he's been in good form, even though he's played a lot of games. So I thought he might plug the left up. If he plugs the left up Richarlison, we know where we are. I didn't think it was a negative lineup. It surprised me. I looked at it, I thought, well, I quite like this lineup actually. But it's just my perspective. I mean, like, everyone has their own opinions on this, don't they? So yeah, not an issue. As for not getting nowhere in, well, the numbers tell it, don't they? I mean, we had 17 league games, right? 6 Champions League games, 23, 2 League Cup games, Doncaster, 25 games, and that's with the pre-season. And what's our style of play? What's our philosophy? I haven't got a clue. We've seen it. Look, the result against Liverpool was very disappointing, but they were applauded off the pitch, and it was a big crowd at Spurs yesterday, virtually full house, right? Apart from the rooms where all the tickets go. But it was, although it was very disappointing, it was a good performance. See that Graham Bergvall are a future midfield. You can see that. You know Simmons is going to be one. It's a question of like whether Bentancur or Paulina is going to be interchanging as the defensive DM. But as we've got Bentancur on a contract, we haven't got Paulina. I'm sure you get into that. I don't think I've got a sneaking suspicion we're not going to sign Paulina in the summer. But that's just me. But back to you before we go off on too much of a tangent.
We'll see. All right, let's move it on, because what I didn't say is I've got these reprobates with me for an hour, and then I've got Gary Ward and Callum coming in to do a transfer special. That's probably something we'll do till the end of January. But there is absolutely no doubt that the Simmons red card changed everything, and perhaps that's why people were accepting of the defeat, because in terms of the manner of the defeat, Dave, it wasn't a bad defeat compared to some that we've suffered, where we've just not competed at all, and we were well in the game until the red card, and in fact we were in it for 15-20 minutes after the red card.
And listen, football is football. Things like this happen. It's silly. It's people are intentional. This, that. Listen, rules of the game. You're off. Fine. 33 minutes. You've now got 60 minutes to salvage something from the game. I look at the 10 players left on the pitch. 8 of them won the Europa League last year. 8 of them were in the trenches. 8 of them, youth or not. I know we've got a few comments about youth and not being the future, but these youth carried us through a very difficult season last year and got us to where we got to with some sort of success. So I'm looking at it and I'm going, right, now we need to galvanise, now we need to be compact. maybe hit them on the break. It's all about transition. They are weak in transition. And to be honest, we still generated a few opportunities, you know, not just in the first half, but you think about the second half when Mwani, I think, hit the post or whatever, or crossbar. We were able to play through them. They are a very shaky team, right? They are a very, very shaky team. The issue is, for me, right, and we saw this even before the red card, is the pace of our play is very slow. The pace of our play is very slow. That starts with Romero, and I know we'll probably get onto Romero, you know, later on. It starts with him. You know, he's put his foot on the ball all the time. He's trying to pick out this you know 40-yarder David Beckham pass. You know, every other pass that he goes for. Listen, whatever your thoughts are on him, if it's going from him as opposed to from our midfielder, whether it be Gray, Bergvall, or whoever else, whoever's in there, Saar when he gets back, then you're gonna struggle because the other team could just sit back and know what to expect. Or if it's not Romero, it's Porro. Long range strike, whatever the case may be. So the pace of our play is too slow, you know, before the red card, and then after that, we don't have enough precision in the way we kind of move forward.
Let me stop you there, Dave, because I don't want to get too into that at the moment, because I certainly want to talk about Romero later. But the pace that we play at, and particularly you look at that Kudos was mentioned. I think he was probably the worst culprit of slowing the game down and holding the ball. That must be coming from the manager, because if you do it once and the manager doesn't like it or the coach doesn't like it, you can see me, you know, forward, and there was none of that I saw.
Yeah. No, I think it does come from the manager. And I think, you know, we said that we don't have a pattern of play. I think we do, but I think the pattern of play doesn't maximise the strengths of our better players, you know.
Yeah.
Even think about, you know, Mwani or Bergvall, whatever. And I think that's what we need to fix over this Christmas period.
Let me ask you a question before I move on to Harry and Tom and Adrian. Red card justified?
Yeah, listen, I mean, he's not obviously gone to do it. He's not trying to, but he's caught him. You know, it does right. He's caught him on the back of his ankle, whatever it was. And there you go. But after that, I'm looking at my World Cup winning captain and I'm going, don't give away 2 goals, please.
Yeah.
You know, let's step up to the plate. Let's be compact. Let's have a bit of mentality. Don't throw the game away. Let's be, you know, even though yes, you know, there were positives in the performance yesterday. Don't get me wrong. We need everyone to kind of really dig in, and I don't see enough of that recently.
Sure, Harry, red card for you?
For me, yes, probably it is. You know, I think I believe in saying it how it is. I think it's one of those that maybe you go back a few years, it's not given. So I get, you know, the frustration with that. But the reality is he's got no control from the situation. It's a very I think it's a dangerous tackle. I don't agree with Thomas Frank on that. I agree with him with a lot, but I don't agree with his comments after the game. But you're right to say it did have an impact on the game, you know, and for me, it's a moment of stupidity from a player that hasn't hit the ground running, a player that was poor in this game. And we had a couple of good performances from him, you know, back to back as well, wasn't it? You know, goal and assist against Brentford, which resulted in a man of match performance, rightly so. Then a man of match performance against Slavia Prague, also rightly so. But we shouldn't sugarcoat it. For me, he's been bad since joining the club, but he should also get time to gel, time to settle in. I think Adrian's right to say he could work out. I'm not going to even sit here and say he might, you know, he definitely will. I'm not sure based on what I've seen. What I do know is he definitely needs time because we've signed a player that looks good, that's for sure. We just have yet to see that. And fans, you know, don't give time. Same with Frank or same with different players. When they can't see it working straight away, it's boom, let's jump the gun straight away. But my point is that anything great that's ever happened in football typically takes time. It just doesn't start straight away. A good example, and maybe is even overused, but Sir Alex Ferguson, for example, Man United. I think if you have him now, I know he's a manager, but it's the same point. If he was here now, he'd be sacked before he got an opportunity to turn it around. And the success of Man United, the big success, just wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't get the time he does now. We see this. It just wouldn't be allowed for any club. So the point is, you know, we don't give players or managers the time in football. Simmons needs time to turn it around. It's as simple as that. But it was a red card. It was a moment of stupidity. It wasn't the only moment of stupidity in the game. You know, there's individual errors and lack of discipline, lack of leadership all across the pitch, which cost Tottenham in this game because we actually went toe-to-toe with a good side that have, yes, fallen off, but they're still a good side.
Yeah. Tom, red card for you? You're on mute, Tom.
Sorry, I do that every time.
Yeah, that's okay.
For me, yes, I think it probably is a red card. I think my biggest issue with it is the referee gave a yellow card, and would you say that it was a clear and obvious error for VAR to get involved? I'm not convinced. Like, and this is my issue with VAR, because they've had to rewrite the laws over red cards to match VAR, where now they've brought in this rule or this writing of point of contact. Where was the point of contact? Whereas, that okay, he catches him on the back of the calf. I mean, I was at the stadium. I was very, very far away from it. But from what it looked like to me was that he was running and Virgil van Dijk stopped. And as he's planted his foot, and Simmons hasn't reacted to him stopped. And as he's planted his foot, he's caught him on the back of the leg. Actually, from where I was, it actually looked like Van Dijk elbowed him, but that's because I was directly behind it, and he hadn't. But yeah. So I don't know. I don't think there was malicious intent to it. Like, it would be weird, especially with him being his like national team captain and stuff like that. That's probably the last person you want to be clobbering before in a World Cup year. But for me, it's just the inconsistency. Last season, Van Dijk caught Solanke in exactly the same place on the leg in probably worse circumstance and didn't get a red card. And that's the biggest gripe for me. Is just that it just seems complete inconsistency. But I would say actually that red card and Romero. Well, actually, I think he got Romero's red card wrong, because actually if Romero kicked out, then it should have been a straight red, not a second yellow. But I actually think the red card is possibly the only decision the referee got right the whole game. And with Simmons, he was really hyped up for that game in the stadium. Like, people were like, he's hyped up for this because he flew into sort of 2 or 3 tackles that he won fairly just before that. So I can't say I'm shocked that he but that's where he's a young player. He's wanting to obviously make an impression on the game. He's probably frustrated with how the lack of service that he's getting. And I think that's where he needs a senior player to say to him, look, chill out, calm down a little bit, keep your head in the game, and we've got this. But we just don't have any leaders in this team, seemingly.
Adrian, let me bring you in here. I can't remember now what happened, but Simmons, I think he got fouled and he didn't get given the decision. And there was obviously a little bit of frustration in him when he went into that tackle on Virgil van Dijk.
But it wasn't malicious and it wasn't reckless. To me, it wasn't a red in real time. Like Tom said, you see it's late, so you think, oh, booking. That's it. And then VAR, they spent a long time over this year. And Tom's right about the referee. I mean, who's refereeing the game here? Right? It wasn't clear and obvious. It wasn't clear and obvious at all. It was late. And then I've had the opportunity like VAR to watch the incident a few times. When you look now in slow-mo, right? And they've got to stop this out. VAR should be only previewing incidents on the pitch in normal speed. Because if you can't see it, the referee, if you can't see it at normal speed, anything wrong, then the referee's decision should stand. I don't trust the officials. We're going to come on to later because I've got a lot to say about VAR. No. But to me, when I looked at if you look at him, now I've only can pick certain frames where I stop. Actually, although he's late, he's looking forward. He's not looking down at his foot, and he catches him on the back of the calf sort of thing. So to me, a yellow, I've seen yellows given. It's a late tackle. I mean, we've seen when players have took one for the team and they only get a yellow card. I don't see this being that much different. I understand the red when they've looked at it, but I don't agree with the decision. I don't agree with the red. I really don't.
I mean, for me, and we'll talk about this if we get time later. I just don't think VAR's improved the game. I don't think it's done anything to improve the game. And there was a comment on the by Lee's kit. Didn't the game mirror the game too? When we ended up with 9, except the incompetent officials didn't put you off a perfectly legitimate goal. I can't argue with that.
How can you say the VR officials are not biased? This is the thing. If it's automated stuff, fine. But you look at it, right? When they scored their goal, and I sent you all the replay of when Richarlison was pushed in the back, which was a clear foul, right? That's not AI.
Come on to that. Let me come on to that, Adrian.
Right. And the other thing is, with the AVAR, they spent all that time over that, right? And yet the other decision, when Richarlison scored his goal, they took a while to get that one right, but they let the Liverpool get away when it should have been a free kick. I mean, it just makes you absolutely fume.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I don't think it's improving the game. I think it was probably easier to accept just a referee had a bad game, made a bad decision, when they didn't have the technology to supposedly help them get it right. Because all you're doing is replacing one subjective opinion with another subjective opinion. And you've seen that I mean, I haven't watched much of the cricket. It's too depressing. And but I'm gathering they had problems with the snicker. Now, the beauty of cricket is the technology tells you definitively, did it hit the bat? Was the ball going on to hit the stumps and the batsman hit in line with the stumps, etc., that tells you it was caught or it was LBW.
I have to admit, though, Ian, I mean, like with the headed goal, looking in the ground, I thought there was nothing wrong with it. It's only when I looked back and got that clip that I thought, hang about. Why didn't VR even? But VR check every goal in. Why didn't they check ours? Why didn't they check that one? They checked Richarlison's, you know.
Don't. I mean, I just don't think it's improved the game. Harry, let's bring you back in. As I say, we promised you an hour, and I promised the boys an hour in the second half. 56 minute, Isak 1-0, and I'm picking up, by the way, my phone's, my watch is bleeping with messages that Isak's broken his leg, which is a pity. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But my question for you, because we'll talk about Romero later when we talk about his red card, what was he doing?
Yeah, what was he doing? Firstly, I won't get into it, but I don't agree with those comments at all, really. I understand the points about VAR, but the reality is I think we need to be focused on how we're playing rather than the performance. I don't think there's any bias. There's no corruption at all in the Premier League. You know, it's too big of a league for that. I don't believe that's happening. I think it's coincidence. We're putting 2 and 2 together, you know, whether we like it or not. And I don't agree with it, but rules are changed every year. You know, and I agree that VAR, sometimes it is, you know, subjective. We get subjective decisions, but the reality is, you know, it's always going to get, you know, the case of some decisions will be given by some referees and not the other. We need to make sure it's not happening regularly. But the point is, there's going to be some that is down to opinion. Every goal is checked, whether we hear about it or not. So it definitely would have been checked. But we will, I'm sure, come back to that. But your question was about Romero on the first goal, and it is poor. Firstly, credit to Alexander Isak. I think that needs mention. That's a typical Isak goal at Newcastle. You know, slides kind of in past the defender. It's such a. If you look at any of Isak's goals, that's where the majority of his goals are scored. But it is poor from Tottenham. It's a moment of kind of lapse of concentration and a little bit of laziness from Romero, where he's got a lot of time on the ball, and you know that kind of not having that press, believe it or not, is a disadvantage to him because he's not, you know, 100% focusing on what he's doing. He's got a lot of players that are free. I mean, I don't blame him if he doesn't trust some of these players on the ball, because our passing against Forest was absolutely woeful. But the point is, he's still got options in and around him. He could have drove forward, and it was the wrong thing to do. So this was a good example of Slot getting it right, of dropping off for Liverpool, not executing their high press, because knowing that Tottenham will make the mistake whatever you do, because he would have saw, I'm sure, some of the Forest game, because, you know, he would have done a little bit of analysis, and, you know, he doesn't need to do any more than 2 minutes analysis to tell him that Tottenham were woeful in that game, could have lost 6-0, and the passing was the most shocking thing out of it. So they didn't need to press, they didn't, you know, we gifted it to them. And, you know, I like Romero, but yesterday was not a captain's performance in so many ways. You're more entitled to a mistake, but it's how you put that mistake right. And the reality is he just got worse as that second half went on, and that's the real shame. And, you know, he's lost his head, which, again, I know we'll get on to, but it's a really poor moment for this goal.
Tom, you'd have had a pretty good view of that. Romero had all the time in the world and just lumped it. I don't even know who he lumped it to, but you know, it's one of those WTAF moments for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally what I put in one of the groups as what the F was he thinking. It was just I think our biggest problem is that the only way that we seem to be able to progress the ball through the lines up the pitch is through Romero, and it's almost like Thomas Frank has told him that, so Romero constantly tries to pick out that pass. But yes, it was like just a left-footed, like, lump through the middle. Like there was nothing. It was just a nothing ball completely. And then he tries to dive in to rectify that mistake, leaving his position and leaving Isak completely free. I think that's like the most annoying thing about it is like Liverpool. With 10 men, you're thinking just keep it solid and give yourselves an opportunity to nick a 1-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
But we just gifted them like 2 goals. Like it's frustrating. It was silly from Romero. Romero. I think Romero is a very, very, very good defender, but I don't know. There's just something about him that you just can't rely on, unfortunately. He just always seems to have a moment. And literally, I said to a bunch of the crowd, and again, I know you said you're going to cover this later, but like all the people were sitting around after the 2 goals when he got pushed for the second goal, he started flying into things. So it was like red card coming. There is he is going to get red card. Put a bet on it. And he proved us right. And he proved everyone right that us Spurs fans have been trying to tell are wrong for ages. And like, no, he hasn't had a red card in ages. He's tough in a tackle, but he's not reckless. He's not a loose head, and he's just proved everyone right. Seemingly because he wanted Christmas off, maybe. I don't know.
Well, we'll come on to the fact that whether he should have been getting 3 matches or 1. But Dave, you've got a team, whether it's a team of footballers or a team of left-hand widget makers, and you're the foreman. You're looking for your leaders. You're looking for your best operators. You're looking for the ones with the biggest medals to step up. And for not the first time in his Tottenham career, not only has Romero not stepped up, he's actually stepped down.
Yeah, listen, you're looking for consistency, right? And not just with him, there's other players in the team that we can say this for. Unfortunately, the gap between his best and his worst is way too big. Like, listen, if there's 38 games in the season, if you gave me 29, 30 games of, 7 out of 10, then you are class in that top echelon of defenders, as a centre back, okay? But then you have a couple games where you struggle, Saliba has games where he struggles, Diaz has games where he struggles, Guardiola has games where he struggles. That struggle should be a 5 or a 6 out of 10, not a 2 out of 10, where you're giving away 2 goals and getting a red card. And that's what concerns me. When he's bad, he is awful. It just all falls apart. And that first goal yesterday, I was at the game, I was watching it along, and I stepped out for a bit and then came back and I saw it on the highlight. And obviously my phone was going off and I was going, what's he doing? I'm like, oh, what happened? And then I saw it and I went, hold on. High IQ football tells you 10 men, keep possession, you've got it, no one's pressing you. Play off your right foot, right? Just, pass it to the person next to you, whatever. He tried a left-footed dink over 2 or 3 players into the Netherlands, where, and I'm like, it just doesn't make sense, even if we had 11 players on the pitch.
Dave, you're a World Cup winner. You're a World Cup winner.
And this is what I'm saying.
1-0 down. You're 0-0, 1 man down against the Premier League champions. You don't take risks. I mean, to me, it's utter brainlessness again.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. Like, again, like I said, when we went down to 10, you look on that picture, you're like, it's not a completely new team. Team's been in the trenches. 8 of them, got us to the final. 1 in Bilbao, etc. And then you yourself, captain. I think we did that. I think we made him captain to keep him at the club, personally. But you've been made captain. Whether you agree with that or not, you're captain now.
Yeah.
World Cup winner. I think he's won Copa America as well. I could be wrong on that. But you have this record. You won like 6 finals in a row. All this kind of stuff, and then you give us that. I was there in the rain at the AC Milan game. When he got sent off there, that 0-0. A similar feeling when you just go, come on, man, just be better. We saw at Newcastle, we saw the best of it. We saw where he can drag you through and kind of just put bring us into another level. That's what we need to see more consistently, and we just don't see it.
Yeah. Adrian, let me bring you in. Yeah, obviously everybody's had their bit. That's the price you pay for being a co-owner of the channel.
Well, this is a ruffle a few feathers. He's my favourite defender at the club. Even under Ange, he only had one suspension. All right, he's had one for yellow cards here. And I'm glad we've got a bit more bite about us. We pick them up because we have got cover. We've got Danso. We've got Dragerson coming back now. So we have got cover. We lose him. We're not going to lose him. When he's fit, he plays. I mean, even when he was out for that one match, we don't have a centre back. Danso needs 2 touches. I like Danso. Excellent buy, right? VDV has upped his game to a different level. He's better on the ball than I thought he would be because I thought he was mainly relying on pace. He's really upped his game. And he can go on a charge and run. But all our backs, they all look to Romero to give him the ball. He progresses us. We haven't got another central defender that progresses us. And I think if you look at his stats at the end of the season, naturally the fan base is going to be on his case when he makes a mistake. I think I think the rhetoric was ramped up about Romero, even when they were saying like under Ange and all that. I still think it was ramped up because the stats at the end of the season just didn't add up to his performances. And I think we need him in the team. And Dave's right. I mean, he showed a captain's performance in the Europa League Cup final. He showed it against Newcastle. When I've noticed he gets a bit hot-headed, I think it's when something's really pissed him off, not simply a challenge. Like the referee sent Xavi off. He was straight into the referee. He wasn't happy with the decision. I think that wound him up a bit, but he's a World Cup winner. He should know better. He's a quality defender. There's no 2 ways about it. We'd certainly miss him if he wasn't with us. You know, in my opinion. That's my opinion, though. You know what I mean? Others
okay.
You know?
Let's bring on that. And I'll ask you first, Adrian, before I go round the guests, because I appreciate you don't always get as much as you want. I can't resist that. The question is, and it goes back to VAR again, was Romero fouled?
Well, at the time in the stadium, I just thought it was done and it was just a goal. When I went and looked again and looked at it and then found that clip, what I sent to you guys, it's a 2-handed push in the back. I mean, all right, Moreira's going to milk it a bit going down, but it was a 2-handed push in the back. All I do is ask myself, was it a foul? Yes, it was a foul. We've seen them given, we've seen them not given, but it was a foul. Right? No 2 ways about it. And my angst was VR didn't look at it. They took time when Richarlison scored. They didn't give this much of a look. They probably didn't look at it at all, in all honesty. So
let me, because I think particularly Harry alluded to this, and Tom, and this is consistency of how, and my view about how VAR isn't really improving the game. My instinct is that there was probably a push, but using your words, Romero milked it a bit. He sees the ball going over his head. He feels the push and he throws himself over, which is probably hope Harry comes back, which has probably influenced the officials. But if they choose not to get involved in that, I've got no problem with it because it's not, to me, clear and obvious. But then should they have got involved in the Simmons one, which wasn't one of those, oh my God, that's a terrible foul. Let me bring you in on that, Tom, then, and I can always come back to you, Adrian.
Yeah. Again, I think it's another one of those situations where if the ref had given a foul, I don't think it gets overturned for a goal. I don't think it's a push. There's definitely 2 hands in the back, but actually Ekitike is in the air and then his hands come out and he's heading the ball. So it's actually more of a protection than it is. He hasn't stood there, pushed, and then jumped and head. You get what I mean, right? He's in the air and his hands have gone out. So, however, throughout all of my playing life, the referees always used to go 2 hands in the back, push, foul. Like 2 hands in the back, foul, 2 hands in the back, foul. But I just think Romero's got to be a little bit stronger there. If I'm honest, I think he misjudges the flight of the ball, gets it wrong, feels the push in the back, and as we've said, milked it a bit. And I just, again, if the referee had given it, VAR wouldn't have overturned it. We would have had a free kick, fine. But because he didn't give it, they've stuck with it. Like, I mean, VAR look at every goal. Let's just get that 100% clear. They have to look at every single goal. The only way they're going to overturn a goal is if there is a clear and obvious error. And this is where VAR, in my opinion, I think VAR should stay, but VAR should only be for non-subjective decisions. It should only be clear, cut and dry. Ball over the line, handballs, although handballs, again, is subjective because they've had to rewrite the walls so many bloody times for that. But like those clear and obvious non-subjective decisions, like a 2-footed tackle into the leg, if the referee's missed it, 100% they should be bringing up. But like that Simmons one, that wasn't a clear and obvious mistake in my mind. Like if the referee had given a red card and there wasn't VAR, we probably would have gone, I can understand why he's giving it, but if it was a yellow card, and like none of the one thing I will say about the Simmons one is none of the Liverpool players went charging over to the ref like as if it was like a malicious and they wanted a red card and stuff. The challenge happened. Van Dijk went down because he was hurt and he was holding his leg, but like there wasn't like a horde of Liverpool players running over to the ref to get and that's what was bizarre about that situation. But for the goal, I don't think it's a foul purely based on the fact that Ekitike is in the air and then he's putting his hands out to protect him. He hasn't pushed Romero to get up to the ball. So yeah.
Okay, Gary's joined us. Oh, you're right. Okay, you come onto the stage. We'll be running really late if you're if I'm going to bring you in on all this.
It's Christmas. Who cares?
Soon as well, Gary. Look, it might be the show just takes its own arms and legs. I'm no problem with that. Dave, your own view. Again, Romero got to be stronger. Romero beaten and throws himself, or another poor decision from the referee.
Listen, whatever it is, one of my favorite films is The Godfather, and there's a scene in The Godfather where he's talking to his godson, the entertainer. He's crying, talking about they've blocked me out of Hollywood. I can't get a scene, whatever. And the Godfather turns to him and says, you can act like a man. For me, Romero, you can act like a man. Just come on, just defend it properly, man. You're a World Cup winner. Just defend that cross a bit stronger, and if I think he went down a little bit too easily. I think you need to be reading the flight of the ball. And the thing is, what annoys me, Ekitike has had a bit of hype for the past 18 months or so, right? We faced him against Frankfurt last year, null and void for the most part. He scored a goal, but null and void. Right? He was in the pocket, didn't really do much, got really frustrated. Couple snapshots here and there, null and void. So I'm thinking to myself, guys, we've been here before. We played this kid. Do it again. So the fact that he scored that goal really, really annoyed me. And then my thing is this: now you're asking the referee, now you're asking VAR to step in. We all know the quality of maybe refereeing and VAR across the country is not that great. Wherever some people take it too far, and say it might be conservative, whatever. But just overall, at every level, the standard's not great. Don't give them an opportunity to have to make a mistake. Just do your job better. And when that cross comes in, whether it's Romero, whether it's Porro at the back post, whether it's this one, whatever, Vicario flapping that stuff, just do your job, man.
Harry, I've got a feeling that the decision to give the second goal to Liverpool wouldn't have been as controversial if the referee hadn't been really, really poor all through the game, and it felt like every marginal decision was going against us.
Absolutely. I just think maybe it's a case of, Liverpool get the rub of the green. That's how I view it, as much as, we could look at every decision. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I like to try and take, the Spurs tinted glasses off, or this time of year, the Spurs Christmas hat off, and look at it and go, look, really, the referee greatest, but there are also things both ways. If you look back at it, it just mainly did feel like does. But if you watch the game back and analyse it, I've only done a tiny bit. There are also some things that maybe Liverpool could have got, and I think we are. Fans will clutch at straws. Like people suggesting we could have got a penalty, etc. I just think that it's complete rubbish, to put it lightly. So yeah, I think with the second goal, it's mainly credit to Etitike more than anything. How he gets up out of nowhere and kind of comes from a nothing position outside the box to get there, and athleticism to win the header. Romero, of course, has to do better. A World Cup winner should know who's behind him. He checks several times. There's no excuse not to pick up his man, not to beat him or get anywhere near him. In fact, in the air. For me, it's not a foul, Ian, but I can understand again the conversation about it. I don't think it is. I think it's weak defending. If I'm being totally honest with you, I know it's not what fans like to hear, but I think we need to focus on how we deal with these situations. Very similar to like we had with Vicario last year. If we can look at it and go, okay, we're annoyed that's not a foul. But if we take us being a fan out of it and actually look at it, it's also at the time was weak goalkeeping. We're seeing that now with defending.
Quick question for you before I move it on. I'm going to try and wrap this half up in 10 minutes if I can. I think David Clark makes the comment in the chat that Romero loses far too many vital balls in the air for a top centre half.
Yes, I think he does. I still think, we can't get away from, like Adrian said, that Romero is the top defender, but there's no doubt that, it's been said now a couple of times on the panel, when he doesn't play well, you really notice it. I don't want to compare them too much, but Richarlison, right? Because his all-round game just isn't there apart from the goals. When he doesn't play well, it's really noticeable. Like Forrest, for me, stood up like a sore thumb, bounce off touches, like you said, playing Sabutio, he wasn't good at all. And with Romero as well, he's either up here or he's really down there. There just is no middle ground. There is no in-between. But, it's been said again a couple of times, and I'll repeat that, I just completely agree that we've been defending Romero for a long while, and unfortunately we're made to look silly by those rival fans that go, look, so-and-so defender is simply more reliable. And it's coming to be true. And Van der Ven has proved a little bit more reliable. Doesn't necessarily mean he's a better defender. I think we're lucky to have two good defenders. But again, we can't sugarcoat it. I've used that term a couple of times tonight. We can see 3 goals from Nottingham Forest, for example, if we go back a little bit. A team that gone through 3 managers and finished 17th. That's not a sign of a good defensive team. I think if we had the firepower up front, it'd also take the pressure off the defence. If we knew our best midfield, which Frank hasn't figured out yet, it'd also take some of the pressure off the defence and help the attack. But yeah, Ian, I think again you make good points. But for me, Romero hopefully can put it right, but it wasn't good for him.
Yes, Gary, we'd love you to. Please. Thank you. Yes, everything comes up on my watch. Hey, Adrian, let me move it on and let me bring you in on this. There were other substitutions, but as I say, we want to try and finish this half in an hour. Bloody thing. Richarlison comes on for, I've described him, the ineffective Moani 80 minutes. And 3 minutes later, it's 2-1. I mean, thoughts about that substitution, and also thoughts about, whether it indicated, as others, I think Dave in particular at the beginning of the show, was a bit surprised, particularly given Richarlison's goal record against Liverpool, that he didn't start or didn't play a bigger role.
Mamani had 4 chances in that game. If you look at the stats, no, he didn't score, but you see the player, his quality on the ball, his hold up plays, touch, and that. He's the best striker at a football club, even if Solanke's fit, if he's not going to be out for another 3 months. I'm sure we'll come to that later. He's by far the best striker at a football club. All right, he might have been a bit gassed. Everyone was running around. I mean, I was pleased. I think Coach Dave's mentioned it before about legs in midfield. If you've got Bentancur and Paulina in there, the only thing that kept us from getting a real big hiding was the fact that we've got legs in midfield when you've got Graham Bergvale in there, right? So, yeah. But Moani, I love him. I hope we sign him, but I can't see why I'd want to sign for us when our form at present. And like Richarlison comes on, I said to the guys next to me, regular people I sit with, and they go like, I said, Richarlison's coming. He's got a habit of getting one against Liverpool. If we can nick one, you never know. We might get something out of this game. And they all smiled when he scored, right? Took VAR a while, though, to give the goal, not like the other ones. You know what I mean? So I'm a biased Spurs fan, by the way, if you haven't gathered.
That's okay. You're allowed to be a biased Spurs fan. I actually don't know what they were looking at for the life of me. Although I wonder if they were actually Keith Hackett on X was making a comment that I can't remember who the Liverpool defender was now, but he grabbed the defender on the line by the throat, and that could have been another red card. Tom, don't know if you want to come in on that.
Yeah. So I mean, initially I thought there was possibly 2 penalties we could have had up in the build up. Like literally the 20 seconds before Richarlison put it in the net, there was like tackles flying in everywhere, and God, it was very much carnage and chaos in the box is where Richarlison thrives. Like that is like his MO, right? That's what he is like best at, which is why bringing him on in those when it was going to be a chaotic thing was the right decision to make. I think saying Mawani was ineffective is harsh, considering he had to play 60 minutes of the game, or 50 minutes of the game up front all on his own, and actually he still created 1 or 2 chances for himself. Like no one created a chance for him. The chances he got were created by himself as well. So like I don't think we've got another striker that can pick up the ball like near the halfway line and take on their defense and get a shot from goal, which was so bloody unlucky to not dip under the crossbar as well.
But that's true. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I thought, I don't know why they were checking it for so long, but I was laughing my ass off at the fact that Richarlison scored the goal, and then Curtis Jones goes to try and scissor kick the ball away, like so we couldn't pick it up. He's on the floor, and Richarlison does, like on the back of the neck, does pin him to the ground by the back of the neck, shouts something in his ear, and then runs off. And then Szoboszlai tries to say something to Richarlison, and he squares up to him as well. And then Frimpong tries to say something and squares up. Yeah. And actually, in that type of game, like if Richarlison could control a ball and hold the ball up and pick out a man, he would be one of my favourite players, because I love his attitude. I love his like, I'm going to get in your face, I'm going to make life difficult for you. But he just cannot control the ball. He's got about as good a control as a brick wall. It's just like ridiculous, to be honest with you, how bad he is at controlling a ball. And if he could improve that and improve his hold-up play, then he would be a player that I would absolutely love. But yeah, aside from, chaos in the box, he can be a bit ineffective. But that's where he's great.
Dave, was that change made too late to bring Richarlison on?
No. Listen, I agree with Tom. I was going to say the same thing. Richarlison thrives in chaos. That's where he's at best. His best. You can't, when it's set patterns and trying to build up and progress. Listen, because of his lack of technical ability and poor decision making, you're not going to get the best out of him. But when things really break down and there's little bits to kind of pick up on, that's where you see him grab a goal. And if you look at most of his Spurs goals, especially his first kind of stint where he went on a bit of a scoring run, and that's where he kind of grabs them. Mawani kind of ran himself into the ground, I think. He's a good player, fantastic technical talent. Even watching him abroad, before he came to Spurs, he's always a player that you think, yes, if he puts it all together, he'll be moving up in estimation across, the kind of list of top strikers. And I agree, he's our best striker at the club, even if everyone was fit. And I think we need to play to his strengths, and I don't think we do that enough. And again, like I said, every time I'm on this stream, I'm like, it's about pattern of play, it's about combinations, about profiles. You can't have him in front of a stodgy midfield two. You need to have the right kind of combination around him, to really make it work. But even with that, you see him picking up the ball and going past 2 or 3 players. And yes, it may have been a block by a Liverpool defender or whatever, but there's no other striker we've got who's going to do that. No, sure. A lot of our players, we haven't seen the best out of them. You watch them go play for their country, go play in other scenarios. They play completely different because they're set up to get the best out of them. And so Frank needs to kind of sort that out. And like I said, we've got games coming now, across the Christmas period, and we need to pick up points. And this is an opportunity for him to really put it together, because I
want to deal with one quick thing, because we're after 9:30, and I promised these boys an hour and whatever. But with so much, there actually people commented on the discussion. I mean, I think thanks, boys. It's been a really, really good chat, as we usually have on this show.
Yes.
But the one thing I want to deal with, Romero red card. Liverpool are absolutely wobbling. We've got a free kick. Romero kicks out. For me, it's a red card for violent conduct. It's not a second yellow. And he's lucky he didn't get a straight red. But I'm going to ask this question for all the panel before we finish. Tom, I'll start with you. Is it now time that this player is a liability, and it's time to move him on and bring someone else in?
You move it, Tom.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's because I was opening a can of Coke, so I didn't want to do that on the mic. Basically, Romero at his best is a player who would probably get into almost every single team in the world. But Romero at his worst, ends up not on the pitch, and that becomes like a liability, doesn't it? Really, and the thing is, I'm looking at Vuskovic on loan, and Hamburg fans are gutted that he's only on loan with them and stuff like that. They're raving about him, and I'm just like, with him coming back, is he ready to then step up? Do you buy someone else as well? I just think if you can get 60 to 70 million for Romero, which I don't see why we wouldn't be able to get that. I think someone might stump up that money for him. But even if you get 50 million for him, I don't know. I'm so on the fence. I'd be happy if he stays, but I would want to give him more competition, so that he doesn't just feel like he's a shoo-in for the first 11.
Scarfy?
I think it's a ridiculous question. I'm sorry. I mean, I just think it's I mean, the nicest way possible to you. A great show. You great questions.
You're allowed to have a different opinion.
Scarfy making his last appearance from Spurs die-hards, right?
Yeah. Booted off now, especially after you've been nice to me. Yeah. Forget about me. Hang me out to dry. It's all right. No, listen. Romero, for me, he's going to have those rash moments. I do have to, unfortunately, for now, agree with those rival fans. He has had those rash moments. But before yesterday, it's actually funny because I said in the morning as well, I'm sure lots of other people probably said the same, but I said, because I had this conversation with someone at college in the week and we spoke about it, it carried on to the weekend. I said, look, that's gone now. Romero, the last time he got sent off was the back end of 2023. It just felt right for something like that for him to be sent off. But, with Romero, I still think he is a top defender. He is a World Cup winner. He's a defender I want in my team. Let's not forget when he hasn't been in the team, we've missed that progressive passing. We do miss what he brings to the table. I think he definitely has to improve his game. Yesterday was so poor. It was a lack of leadership. And, I don't think necessarily we would have got a draw. You just don't know. It's not something you do. Momentum's with Tottenham from that point in until the end in added time. It's a moment of stupidity. I think 2 mistakes. He's probably frustrated with himself, frustrated that he can't take the free kick quickly, but you can't defend that. It's so poor. But no, crazy question. Got to keep him.
Dave?
Okay. To actually answer the question, I don't mind if he goes. I'm okay with him going. In the sense that, and it's not about yesterday actually. Like I said, my thing was about consistency. The gap between his best and his worst is too big for where we want to go, and because of that, I can't rely on you. So there's that. If I'm analysing him as a defender, as good as he is, I have always had these concerns about his positional play. Sometimes he can drift. He chases the game. He chases the play. Chases the tackle, which is why he misses those aerial duels. He can get found out. He can get wound up, etc. And therefore, there's a lot of work that needs to be done around him, whether it be in the right back channel or as his left back partner, his left centre back partner, to compensate for that. I don't think it always gives you a settled thing. Now, if you're going to go, but he gives us so much on the ball. Listen, I'm old school, right? I'm getting now to the age where I start to have memories of when defenders used to defend, okay? And it wasn't about what you can do on the ball, but it's actually off the ball. So I'm okay with it. But I do understand that he does bring value at this present moment. I don't necessarily think Vuskovic is ready next season. I think he probably has one more loan at probably a more higher profile club with a bit more maybe European experience, etc. Maybe like a I actually don't know what kind of club. Probably Callum and Gary will probably know a little bit more about where that progression is going to go. But if we get an extra person in that can maybe cover that gap over the next couple of seasons, and then we'll see where we're at. But listen, it's not about just like one moment. For me, I've thought this for a little while. If you get good value for money, and I think Atletico Madrid were ready to do that in the summer. And listen, okay, fine. You know.
Adrian, let me bring you in very quickly because I am running a bit late.
I want to me. Romero's a saint when you compare him with Sergio Ramos. I mean, you compare him with that and all the red cards he had through his career, so maybe Real Madrid would like him to replace that. Fight at the back. But I've said it. I think he's our best defender. We really miss him when he's out the team. Like I say, VDV can go charging forward. He's looked much better on the ball. He's upped his game, VDV, isn't he? So he's really showing us that he might even have more levels. So he's got frightening potential. But Romero, to me, like ball progression, we just lose something at the back when he's not there. We just lose something. We miss his passing. None of the other centre backs can do it. As much as I still like Danso, he seems to need 2 touches on the ball. When you're like that as a defender, keep it short, keep it easy, don't take risks. But Romero, when he's on the ball, fans are screaming like, Paul. I mean, we haven't got the players' line of sight on the pitch. I'm right up high, right near the south stand, high up in the east. But so when they're saying, pass it, you get that from the crowd. But everything happens so fast on that pitch when at pitch level to please someone make a run and ping that ball. But he gets it right. I mean, like he got it right when. At West Ham, didn't he? When Bergvall scored the header, things like that. I think he's a fantastic all-round footballer. All right, he's not perfect, but what players are?
I want to thank Zookeeper Tom, Coach Dave, and Harry. You're free to stay. No one gets kicked out the studio unless they're really rude. But I said to you an hour, and I've been a little bit more than an hour.
Well, you can sit here and stay, guys, if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, this is, as I said, this is a format I'm going to be using certainly till the end of January anyway. Instead of doing special transfer shows, doing a bit about the game and then moving on and talking, particularly with Callum and Gary, with a little bit of an inside track on the transfer side. So can I welcome to the stage Gary, who's a virgin Gary on my show, and Cal, who's been a regular. Good evening. Good evening to you both.
And at this stage, as before we start the next half of the show, I'd like to give the channel a plug. We're gone past.
Yeah, go, Adrian.
So, guys, for the 130 you viewing us, which is fantastic, and we thank you. We really appreciate your support for this channel. We are fledgling. We're only going about 18 months, but guys, we bring the content to you free. And come on, be fair with us. I mean, like, there's a subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. I mean, it takes only a second to subscribe to the channel and to give this video the thumbs up. And we appreciate your support. So please subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up. We have got memberships for those that would like to be a member of this club. We don't rip people off. It's only £2 a month. We only have one type of membership. So if you wish to join, you're more than welcome to do so. I want to thank everyone in the chat for their comments and questions as well. They're bringing in. A special big up to everyone who watches on playback. We do have a Facebook channel. It's the same. We can't, me and Ian, try and get more people on there to come over here, but it's a hard task, like. But there's, it's going to grow to 15,000, which is ridiculous when you see the amount we've got here. We should have a lot more in the chat channel, a lot more viewers. We can find us on XCOM, as you can find Project Spurs with Gary and Callum, who are friends of our show now, and we have a WhatsApp group which we use actually for a sync to draw guests on for the show. Anyone's welcome to guest on the show if they're mature and sensible. So, and Gary and Callum, they can use the WhatsApp group to get people going there. Project Spurs as well. They're more than welcome to do so because we support each other in the Spurs community as much as we can. Yeah. So, and I've got a Discord group which I mainly use as an archive. All the stuff that I bombard everyone with, I keep it in there. Like, it's my little fail safe. No, it's my fail safe to come back and say, well, you didn't say this or you didn't say that. I can throw it back and I keep the info, right? Keep the data there. So we've got that.
Evil.
With that, I just want to thank you all before Ian continues. And I will say that our shows go out usually on a Tuesday or Wednesday, every Friday and every Sunday. So there will be a show this Tuesday, day before Christmas Eve, and there will be a show Sunday Boxing Day as well. So Friday Boxing Day, rather. I don't know if Ian's going to do one on a Sunday after Boxing Day.
I'm doing one on Sunday after Palace. I mean, that would be the plan. Next Sunday, we play Palace next.
Well, Friday would be Boxing Day. Only one game that I think Man United that day. Then
Sunday,
the next day we're playing. Right, so there will be a show on that Sunday.
I'll do a show next Sunday.
Right, fine. That's fine. And obviously, at whatever time Ian wants it to go out at, because he picks and chooses his time. It's his show. He does what he wants. With that, I just want to thank you all. Thank our guests, of course. You know you are. And back to you, Ian.
Yeah, thanks. Right, well, I'm a little bit late as ever. I think you could almost anticipate that, Gary and Callum. Callum, let me start with you. This is purely a transfer show. In terms of these are the positions, Cal, that have been discussed: left back, left wing, centre forward, and goalkeeper. Which, if or any of those, are we likely to be trying to get players in?
Most active ones at the moment are still the left back and the left wing. Start off with centre forward. They're still trying to work out when Solanke's timeline is to come back. Goalkeeper, as it's been confirmed by Matt Law as well, saying that realistically we are looking to upgrade on Vicario, but not likely in January unless something special comes up. Let's put it that way. So unless they can have someone like a James Trafford or Ter Stegen come available, it's a long shot, to be honest, on them. Centre forward, we've got too many bloody options in there at the moment. So unless we get rid of Richarlison, terminate Mawani, and decide whether Solanke's actually going to come back from hospital or deathbed or wherever he is right now, we don't know where we stand on that. So realistically, left wing is where we're short, left back is where we're short. Centre mid, I've been told, is being looked at, though, actively, because they have reservations over Paulinho now. They don't see where they are with Basuma. They have major reservations over Pape Sarr. There was a link to Bergvall getting sold today to Liverpool. That's absolute tosh. Ignore that. The source literally has fishnets in it. So, I mean, literally anything that describes fishnets is ridiculous. And realistically, Archie Gray is going to be there. They want to renew Archie Gray and Bergvall's contracts. So realistically, centre mid is going to be on that list as well at the moment.
Gary, that's consistent with what you've heard from the nods.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think the left side is the most important, probably the one they're looking at the most. Obviously, Anton Semenyo seemed to be the most they were keen on. But it looks like he's politely declined and wants to perhaps focus on a Manchester club. So it's nice in a way that we have actually gone, okay, let's move on quickly rather than sort of trying to, prolong things. But yeah, it looks like that left side is what's most critical.
I mean, if you watch the Villa Man United game today, and you look at what Morgan Rogers did, and you just go, if only.
Yeah.
It's
like that girlfriend that got away, isn't it? It's like that girlfriend that got away from you, and you just think, Jesus, if only.
Yeah, but Cal, she married you, and I'm happy for you.
Well, yeah, I wish. I bloody wish. Let's put it that way. And if
some of us didn't get away, Cal. We married us.
Well, let's put it this way. If my partner is watching this, Jade, I love you dearly, love, but I'm probably in trouble after this.
Yeah. Let's put it that way. I mean, you look back on the summer window, Cal. Let's bring you in first of all on this. With Morgan, Gibbs-White, with Eze, and then with Rogers. I mean, 3 players that could have made a massive difference. And they didn't come. And I think, as Gary said, we've got to get to a point where. Sorry, my banners are all moving. What the heck's that? Sorry, is that the whatever players we go for, they're players we can get, and stick and try and get them early. I mean, Simmons was one we did get over the line when all the clever money was on him going to Chelsea. To Chelsea.
And that's the thing. The 4 players that we obviously targeted in the summer with a 5th, well, like you say, Morgan Gibbs-White, Eze, Rogers, Savinio obviously being on there, and Walton were all players who would immediately improve our sort of starting 11. And you do wonder where, if anything, the players that haven't really kicked on out of that lot is only Savinio because of being kept out of the squad through injury, and maybe a lesser extent Morgan Gibbs-White. Everyone else has gone to a next level this year, and that was the level that Spurs wanted to be at and need to be at actively now. So you could definitely see what they were trying to do, but realistically we were struggling with it.
I wouldn't be I wouldn't close the book on Savinio. I just there's too much talk of it. There's too much rumblings, and I think if Semenyo does go to Man City, I think that opens up a door for an exit for a player, and I think that player would be Savinio, and I think that if it becomes available, I think Tottenham will be all over that. So I wouldn't close the book on that completely.
Well, that's I mean, you've led me neatly on to the next thing. Sorry, there's a thing. I don't know if you've got this, Gary, with your show. When I'm doing the banners for the show, it suddenly says I can have them for 5 seconds or 10 seconds.
Just need to change the timer just below it. Change the timer. So you can choose 10 seconds, a minute, or none at all.
Timer off here. You
just
put timer off on all your banners.
I'll have to work on that.
I think I turned timer off.
I was only away a month. Semenyo dead in the water. Gary, you think that there's mileage this time in getting?
I think so.
Manchester City.
I think so. There's too much talk of him by a lot of different people. David Ornstein and that I've mentioned him a few times. Equally, if Man City are as serious as it sounds to be for Semenyo, they're going to need to open a position up, I think, on those wings. And I think that someone's going to move. There was the talk of Marmoush as well. I'm not sure if that's even a possibility. I think they'd be silly to sort of let that go quickly. I think Savinio is probably the one that Tottenham will go back for. And I think it makes sense. He's a good player. He's young. He fits that sort of model that we've traditionally looked for. My only slight concern is the finished article instead of finished product. I guess can he do that on a consistent basis? So we'll see. But I think if Semenyo does go Man City, that's definitely going to open someone up.
Do you think we're also interested because it counts as homegrown and he wants World Cup football?
I think it's good that World Cup football. The player's going to want to play. He's going to want to play in the World Cup. And the good thing that Tottenham can do at the moment, while there is not a huge amount, is we can offer someone down that left-hand side regular first-team football, probably week in, week out. Johnson's going to go. Matisse Tell, I think, could go on loan, probably to Roma. And that leaves us really with Odegaard. And while he's progressing, he's not progressing at an alarming rate. And we need somebody in there as well. So I think the left-hand side hopefully it gets done. I would love to see some intent. And within that first week, they should be looking at it now. It should be really clear where things are right now. Semenyo has, apparently politely declined Tottenham. Then that means, okay, we should go and look at our next alternative. And for me, I think Savinio is a very, very good player.
Cal, let me bring you in. I mean, there was a comment in the chat about, another sort of developing winger in Savinio, that's not what we want. We need ready now. Don't use that expression, Ian. Ready now players. Cal, what's the view of the club?
It's very 50-50. There are options on that sort of left-hand side which they are looking at, and Savinio is one who has Premier League ability. He has done it in the Premier League for a season, realistically season and a half, but there are still reservations over it. And this season has amplified that dramatically because obviously he has fallen behind Oscar Bob, Marmoush, Cherky, Phil Foden's obviously come back into the fold, and we know that sort of Guardiola doesn't play with a natural 10 as such. He likes to have his wingers creating or through a 6 and an 8. So realistically, he is on the list. There are options to get him in, but I think there's more reservations over it than there is in the summer. And I know that all of us talk here on all our different group chats. There are other options on the continent which are considered more advanced in terms of ability, but the price tag is where it comes in there. And I mean, that's where we're sort of sitting at the moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through some of those names because I went through some of our group chats to pick out some names. But in terms, we're not normally that quick at unloading players and unloading players for good prices. I don't know which one of you wants to pick this up, but this is a story that seems to have real legs. Is that Johnson's on his way to Palace, and that's a pretty well a done deal for the beginning of January. Who wants to pick that up first?
I mean, I can go on. Gary, you go first, mate.
I mean, we both probably could. I mean, I've just heard it from multiple different people, and Chris Armstrong's a former Tottenham player. He announced it himself as well, and he's pretty well to do with Palace as well. I've always said we have a really poor ability to sell football players, sell them at a relatively good price, and I think for 35 million isn't bad either. He isn't progressing at where he's doing. It clearly doesn't fit in. It makes sense to move him on, and that money is used to bolster that left-hand side. But yeah, I've heard it from different people, but Callum will probably have a little bit more information or may agree as well.
Yeah, no, it's the same that I'm hearing. There are active discussions. I don't think it's as advanced as Chris has reported, because Bournemouth and Aston Villa are still actively trying to push on Johnson from outside perspectives. I believe that the figure will be between 35 and 45 million, though. Spurs are trying to get as much money back as they can on his transfer, but there is a very, very good possibility of Johnson leaving. And this is the closest that he has been to leaving the club in a year and a half now, because there was talks after his first season of going, but now there is a very good possibility for him to go because he wants World Cup football as well. If Wales get, I mean, I don't know whether Wales have got through their playoff now, but he has fallen behind Harry Wilson in their lineup from lack of game time, so he needs to be playing as well.
He's behind players that aren't fit to lace his boots, so that must be a real worry for him.
And also, Ian, I mean, you can bet on Glasner or Unai Emery getting a better tune out of Johnson.
Well, I don't think we're playing him in the right position, but that's completely not another
we're
story.
Playing him on the bloody left, aren't we? He's not a left-sided player.
I wanted, when we sacked it, I wouldn't have sacked Ange, but if we were sacking Ange, I would have brought in Glasner, and I think Glasner would have got a tune out of Johnson. But hey, we are where we are. Let me bring you back in then on this, Cal. This is one you were talking about a lot in the summer. Let's say that Johnson goes to Palace. I would think that was the best move for him, but that's for the player and his agent to decide. Would that give us any more leeway in bringing the boy Walton to, because Gary led the show that there's doubts about Polinia, Sarr, who else are they not happy with? You said. Can't remember. You said someone else. I mean, to me, Adam Walton would just be so ideal for what we're lacking, is someone to progress the ball in midfield that we just don't have.
Well, this sort of transfer is the first dealings obviously we've had with Parish for like 6 months since the Eze deal, and it seems that based on information that's been shared both publicly and privately, that Vinay has been trying to build the relationship back up with a lot of the clubs who Daniel Levy has fallen out with over the years, which is quite dramatic. And there's discussions open to it. Walton, any deal that's going to be done between Spurs, Palace, Johnson and Walton, they will be separate. There won't be any swap deals or brinkmanship with money transfers, anything like that. It'll be similar to how the Archie Gray deal done was with Leeds and Joe Rodon, that obviously they were both separate transactions, money changed hands on both sides for it. realistically, Walton they would like. It's the price. And also, when we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, Spurs were in a much better position, weren't we, in the table? I think we were, 5th? Now we are 14th.
Yeah,
even if we did agree with a deal with Palace, it'd be convincing the player, wouldn't it? At the end of the day, you'd have to convince Walton to drop Palace to come to here. And that's one of the main problems with all of these deals. It's the same with Semenyo. We was offering the best commercial and financial package to him, but a lot of these players aren't interested. That's where we are. So I think there are tentative discussions. They are very interested and will actively try to pursue him. I think this is more of a summer deal, if anything, compared to a January transfer window, because we all know January is a minefield and a half. Let's put it that way.
Let's talk about Gary, let bring you all in maybe on this. Before I come to Gary, Harry and Tom, let me get your opinion on this, particularly as younger supporters. I mean, there was a time when if Tottenham you interviewed Steve Perryman, when Tottenham came asking you to sign for you, it was, where's the pen? For God's sake, let me sign. And I know football's changed and it's a much more international game than it ever was. But it saddens me for the club we were that we are not the magnet for great players that we once were.
Well, it's a failure of this ownership. It really is, the fact that, other clubs are more attractive. And the reality is, look, Levy's words will always stick with me that he said that his aim was to win the Champions League and Premier League. And, he made a joke out of Thomas Frank winning the league this season. But part of me thinks deep down that he, saw it as a huge possibility. And he just was in cuckoo land. I'm sure he still is now. And these owners are definitely in cuckoo land with their PR stunts. Because let me tell you, we're absolutely nowhere near, right? And I think a lot of the fan frustration right now is that they're down in the dumps, really at the risk of becoming, if we haven't already, a mid-table club without an identity. And then you've got Arsenal up here. But there's so many differences, with them. The fact that they back a manager, you give them time and also back them in that window. They're not influenced by fans. They do what they think's right. They thought it was right to back Arteta despite adversity and kind of, unrest, let's say, from the majority of Arsenal fans. But let's be clear, if it's down to Arsenal fans, he'd not be at this club right now. I'm not necessarily saying Arteta's a world beater. The point is, they are not influenced. They have a mind of their own. Whereas, I do criticise these owners and this board a lot, even though the new board is still the same owners. I criticise them a lot, but although they are influenced by the fans, I do think they listen. I don't think they're treated well enough. They certainly do listen, but it's got to be on the ownership, Ian. But at the same time, let's not kid ourselves. The stadium is a massive attraction. Tottenham's still a big pull. But again, I'm going to say it for the third time, I think, tonight, that you cannot sugarcoat the fact that we do not pay the wages. And if you don't pay the wages, football's more and more about money. It is more than ever the modern game. You cannot retain or attract top assets without money, right? If Kylian Mbappe, let's just say, come to the Premier League, which would be great for all of us. Investors, of course, are playing against us. We'd love to see him, right? That's what neutrals want. It's great for the game. If you're saying to him, look, you can go to Arsenal and you can be on 350 grand a week. Come to Tottenham, you're pushing 150. That's already, he's halfway making his mind up. I believe it's that big of a factor. Make no mistake about it. As well, someone like Romero, if you don't offer him the captain's armband, it's a different decision, I think, when coming to that contract negotiation. So that's a real issue and something that has to change. I'm not saying let's just throw money at these players, but you've also got to realise that you cannot be serious about being a top club. You cannot be serious about challenging. If you don't pay the players what they believe they deserve. That's the thing, Ian. So, yeah, it's a failure on this ownership. And the reality is we go into the market, we go into January, we're not up for players that we saw Haaland, of course, come to Man City. Tottenham aren't in the conversation. We buy for players that impress in the Championship or, get a few minutes in the Premier League, lower down and do okay. I like Brennan Johnson, defended him a lot. But, that's the type of signing that summarises this club to a T. It's someone that done, a decent job at Forest, but wouldn't really attract the interest of any other top six club.
Tom, I don't know, Gary and Callum maybe want to come back in on this. But I read last week or the week before that we were offering more money to Semenyo than either of the Manchester clubs or Liverpool. And yet we're not. I mean, I don't know whether that's true or not. That's why I have Callum and Gary here who have an inside track. But
apparently it is true. Yeah, they offered him. They were prepared to go very big for him. They were prepared to go as big as they could for him and go all out. But ultimately, it's very similar to what Harry was saying, that we can't. We've traditionally not offered those things, and we're kind of not in the position to compete with those people at the moment, with a Manchester United, with Manchester City, and ultimately Manchester United is still one of the biggest clubs in the world. Despite failures, and they've won the FA Cup and whatnot, they're still a highly attractive football club, and we're growing. We're just not growing at the rate. I've always said as well, and whether people agree or not, I'm not too sure. We are an asset-rich club and a cash-less club. We are asset-rich in terms of we've got a stadium, we've got a training ground, we've got other parts of the business. However, financially, I think we're cashless. I don't think we have a lot of money because there's still a lot of debt coming from that stadium. And it just comes down to, as Harry rightly said, an ownership. If the ownership are prepared to compete on all fronts, as they've said, then it's up to them to put their money, to put their hand in their pocket. Otherwise, it's the same ownership we've had for the past 15 years that we've been complaining about. Obviously they've been here longer, but I would say in the last 15 years was when the rumblings are coming that we're not seeing enough coming from them.
Kel, when you were on my show in the summer, you were very, very optimistic from your inside knowledge, your sources, that there was money to spend. That even with Levy still there, they were prepared to put serious money in if they could have got the players over the line, and we couldn't get the players over the line. And I don't think there's any doubt that with Eze and Morgan Gibbs-White, there was any lack of intent. There were other factors at work. We've heard as well that the Lewis family, the Partridge family, the Lewis family are prepared to put more money in. Is that what you're hearing, that there is that 200 million available if we want to spend it?
We're looking at between 100 to 150 from what I've been told, to cover sort of wages, transfer fees. And obviously, as we know, transfer deals, you can do a down payment with then staggered payments, because no one, apart from if you trigger a release clause, you can adapt payment terms and the appearance bonuses, everything like that. So the intent is still there, and the intent is not only to have Spurs pay it, but is to back Frank with players. But the question is getting people over the line. That is the main problem, because we saw they put in a bid for Savinho, they bid big money for Gibbs-White, they bid big money for Eze. They wanted to get two of them types of players in, and we got Simmons in. We wanted one addition to that, and we didn't get it. Mawani was sort of a stopgap for seeing where we were up front wise. But the problem is getting these players to sign on the dotted line. And for all the money we want to put in, we've seen the sort of, I don't know, what's the best way to put it? If you guys remember how Fulham were a couple of years ago when they put 100 million down and bought a load of tosh in that transfer window, and they ended up having to rebuild from the bottom. That's sort of where we're stuck at the moment. We have wasted a lot of money in the last couple of years, and they're trying to, I guess, learn on the job as owners at the moment. Even though they've been running big businesses, they're running ENIC Empire, not Tottenham Hotspur, if you get what I mean. So that's where they're bringing these new people in. So the money is there. We need to convince the players of the project and where we are. And if we say that we're going to buy 3 players in January and they're all going to be in Thomas Frank's mould, and then sack him within a month, then that's going to be a big problem, because then you've spunked 150 million up the wall that is completely redundant and pointless, sort of thing. So There is the
And
money
we've
there.
done that previously as well, haven't we? We did, you know, you look at
Yeah.
the season, the summer we signed Ndombele, we signed Sessegnon as well. I think we signed maybe 4 or 5 players, maybe 5 players. What I believe, from memory, I'm not going to get the numbers correct.
So Roden.
Yeah, so we spent about 170 million that summer, and then they've all left the club. And in terms of what we made back, we actually spent 800,000 to release. We actually lost a further 800,000. We didn't get any money back. We actually lost money on that whole summer. And where we sit here and say we want to spend 150 million, to me and you and all of us and the hundreds of people watching, that's a shit ton of money. But we just don't invest properly. We don't pay. We overpay for players that aren't ready for what we're trying to do, and the alignment is wrong. And
let me bring Tom in on this then. The performance yesterday, despite the result, was pretty decent, particularly given we were 10 men for over an hour. But there is huge pressure on the manager. Are the club in a position now where before we start spending any money, we decide who the manager is going to be? I mean, the talk is they want to give Frank time to do the job. But there's a lot of us as supporters think he's a Brentford manager masquerading as a Spurs manager and doesn't have the tactical nous or the ambition to be a Spurs manager.
I mean, the way I look at it is, if you were to sack Thomas Frank tomorrow, who are you getting in? And I don't think there's a lot to pick from. In the summer, you may have a lot more opportunities with Nagelsmann being out of contract with Germany and Poch being out of contract with USA, and you know the summer becomes a much more opportunistic place to be able to get managers than what it is right now. Glasner obviously out of contracts and stuff as well. My thing, I think Thomas Frank was the perfect manager for Brentford because of the whole setup of the club of Brentford, right? Everything about Brentford was set up much like Brighton, that actually the manager is kind of like the final cog in the whole mechanism that's going on there, right? You've seen that when De Zerbi, or when Potter left, they got De Zerbi, and De Zerbi then did well for Brighton. Then De Zerbi's left and Herzler's come in, and he's kind of continued on in. And that's because everything, the structure of the club allows for that to happen. Whereas at Tottenham, there is no structure of the club. And we know that there's no structure of the club because we've gone from attacking manager to defensive manager to attacking manager to defensive manager. Like, no manager from one to the next has been consistent in the way that they've played, which is why when we've given a war chest to a manager and then the next one comes in, it's like, oh, like we've bought a load of duds, because actually the players that were bought for that manager don't fit for the next manager that's brought in. Now, if the club are thinking that they want to buy players for the club and not for the manager, they need to pick a style of football that they want to consistently go for. And when you're getting a new manager in, you need to pick one of the same ilk. So, for example, if we was getting rid of Ange, it would have made sense for them to go and get someone like Hoeneß from Stuttgart, because actually he plays in a very similar way, but is a bit more controlled in tempo. But instead, they decided to go get Thomas Frank in, who is much more in the mould of Antonio Conte. So that's where you get this weird like flip-flopping, and you feel like you've wasted a load of money on players and stuff like that. I think my biggest gripe with Tottenham over the years is that we seem to, when there's been a player like a Dybala or someone like that, where it's like, you just spend that a little bit more and get that top quality player. They haven't done it. But then we'll happily go and spend 60 million on Solanke. Solanke is a good Premier League striker, but he's not a top 4 quality striker. He's not a striker that's going to be dragging you through games and things like that. But for some reason, we're happy to spend 60 million on that. But
we've missed him terribly this season.
Well, we lost our front four in, didn't we? No, we lost Johnny. We didn't replace him. We lost Decky, Solanke, and Maddison.
But what a sad state of affairs that Tottenham Hotspur are a shell of them for themselves and saying that we've missed him loads about Solanke. We used to say that about Harry Kane. We used to say that about Heung-min Son. We used to say that about Christian Eriksen. Now we're saying it about Solanke. Like that just shows how poor the recruitment has been over. And I think Solanke is a perfectly good Premier League player. Like I really like him. I think he's got a good mentality about him. I think he knows when to arrive in the box. But like we've gone from talking about missing Harry Kane to missing Solanke, and of course you're never going to replace Harry Kane like that. That's dream world trying to replace a striker like that. But we should have done a better job. Not waited 2 seasons to do that. Now, if this new ownership want to actually put their money where their mouth is, so that they've been saying they're going to spend the thing. I mean, and like Gary said, look, we've gone for Semenyo. Semenyo's saying no, I don't want to go there. Fine, move on quickly. Go get the next player who goes to that. We kind of did that with Van der Ven. Van der Ven wasn't our first choice. Tapsoba was. And then we ended up with Van der Ven because Tapsoba didn't leave Leverkusen. So that was a good thing. We kind of thought we lucked out a little bit with Vicario in comparison to David Raya, but we know in hindsight now that that's probably not the case. I just, I just hope they put their money where their mouth is, but for the right players and in the right positions and stuff as well. Like, I'm so glad that you said that we're looking at centre midfield, because I actually think other than left back, I think we need to get competition for Udogie, or say competition, a player who's going to stay fit in comparison to Udogie. But I think centre midfield is an absolute must, because if we can get a centre midfielder who's good at progressing the ball, you no longer need to rely on Romero for doing that. And the defender can just worry about defending, and you actually use your midfielders for that creativity and linking things together.
Harry, you're obviously not one for changing manager again. If we get gubbed at Palace, who are on some pretty poor form at the moment, got hammered at Leeds last night. If we get gubbed next week, are we? I mean, I've got a feeling that we may change manager, and that's one of the concerns that I've got about this transfer window.
Yeah, I get your concern. I don't personally do hypotheticals, because we can look at a lot of things. What if Tottenham smash Palace off the park like Leeds do, and then we're having a whole different conversation. What if Tottenham beat Liverpool this weekend? A couple of decisions go our way. You can analyse everything in small details in football, because a lot of things are down to the rubber, the green. But for me, with Frank, right, I think there's valid points that Tottenham may be too big of a step up for him, but I just don't know what gives us the right to sit here and go 3 or 4 months in that let's chop and change manager. Nothing. I don't know any manager that's walked in and boom, instant success straight away. And any name that can be thrown at me would be great. And if it could be, it'll be because there's been instant backing from the start. No manager comes in, and if they start well, it's not sustained for any more than a few weeks. We've seen that at Tottenham. You've seen it elsewhere, right? And Thomas Frank may be the wrong guy.
West Ham, they had a bit of a bump with West Ham. Nuno came in.
Yeah.
All my family, West Ham fans, they had that bump, and now I've been there all day today, and they're all like, "Oh my god, we're getting relegated." And then
absolutely.
There's a bump, and then it's dropped down again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's unfortunate is the fact that we played really well in the Super Cup final. So the expectation was, boom, up here straight away. Then we start well. And then fans, like, I'm not being funny, but even my own dad had the conversation with him. He's like, oh, yeah, where's Arsenal? I'm like, well, we shouldn't be worrying about Arsenal. They're not, just because we've been with them for the first 2 or 3 games of the season. And just we instantly get carried away with that expectation. And you just know it's going to come falling back down. For me, I think Frank's the right guy to bring the fans and the players together. That's what he's known for. If you do a little bit of research, that's what he's known for over in Denmark. And do you know what? This is an absolute myth about his style of football. I know what we've seen so far has been defensive, but I think he's false because of the injuries we've got. At Brentford, he's known as the not necessarily attacking manager, but as a flexible manager. But there's a quote of Thomas Frank up in the stadium, and the quote of him, just one quote around the stadium, it says attack, attack, attack. That's his quote embedded on the GTEC Community Stadium. Not anything else, not defend, defend, defend. The quote from him is attack, attack, attack. That should tell you what his principles are. We haven't seen that so far. I recognise that, what was it, 32, 33% of the ball against Liverpool. But Maddison getting injured cannot be ignored, because he plays football very similar to Damsgaard did at Brentford. He was such a key player. The reason that Visser thrived, Tony thrived, and Burma thrived. I could go on all night, but the point is, Frank may not be the right guy. We haven't seen a lot to get behind, but I just think 3 or 4 months in, boom, it's not enough to judge off. And I think Frank personally is the right guy to go from Ange, because what do we all need? What do we all in agreement? Whether we wanted to keep Ange or not, we all agreed that we shipped too many goals. We all agreed we needed a plan B Thomas Frank ticks both those boxes, plus a little bit better in-game management. And I personally put any reason why we're not struggling, and I mean close to any, from upstairs. We let 3 left wingers go, by the way, 2 going out on loan and 1 being sold in Son. All the right thing to do. We didn't sign 1 left winger because Matty Estelle was a striker. It's as simple as that. So the club have failed on every single part. You know, that's what we were saying at the time. So for me, Frank, whether he's the right guy or not, he deserves a chance to prove otherwise. It's done what gives us this level of entitlement to sit here and chop and change managers and then find out the manager's still not the problem. We're in the same place. You've got someone here that's been here for 20 plus years, making the same mistakes, out of touch as hell, and they're still managing to get away year on year with going, oh, it might be the manager. A manager should be scrutinised as well. But the problems lie a lot deeper than Thomas Frank, and fans know that deep down, but they just decided to ignore it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think we should be sacking Thomas Frank right now. He should be here at least the season. I get where you're coming from as well, Ian. My concern is if we get beaten the next 2 games, I think there's going to be questions asked internally that might start getting rumblings. However, we've all sat here tonight and people in the chat have talked about, the players we want to sign and progressing as a club and being a top 6. We can't do that if we keep changing a manager. We just can't.
And to add to that, Gary, I mean, like, Enoch brought this manager in. This is their first term. All right, they're still responsible for 25 years because Levy was just a front man, really. And now they're sort of saying, like, well, basically it was Levy's fault. We're taking over. Everything in the garden's now rosy. It isn't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But so I don't see, not a question of whether I think Frank's the right manager for us. I don't. He's not a too daring to do managers. I haven't seen that yet. He may yet convince me. I haven't seen that. Right. But I don't see Enoch admitting. See, bosses never like to admit they make mistakes, right? So, like, I don't see them admitting, like, oh, we got this one wrong, we're going to sack him in January. It's not happening. Even if the results go disastrously wrong for us, we're not going to get relegated. We could finish 17th again, worst case scenario. So, I just don't see anything happening. If it's going to be a change of manager, it'll be in the summer. The other thing I want to ask you about was I've seen some negative reports on other groups where they're saying, oh, we ain't going to get no one with Tottenham Hotspur. Everybody knows we're a basket place, blah, blah, blah. But, in contrast to that, you've got the fact that we've got the World Cup coming up. You've got clubs in Europe that got bigger squads than us, like PSG, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus, and all that. And they'll have fringe players that are not getting game time. And they'll want. This is what gives me positive. I actually believe we'll get 3 players in this transfer window, and we need a left winger, a left back, and a midfielder. If the rumours are about David Fratesi not getting time, I'm taking him every day of the week. He's a dog of war, box to box, scores goals. He would really stiffen our midfield. He'd really stiffen it. But I don't know if you've heard anything about that or not. I've seen just a couple of vague reports, so take them with a pinch of salt,
Yeah. Let me bring it back on track in terms of players. Cal, these are some of the names that you and Gary have mentioned. So let's, with a week and a half or so to go to the transfer window opens, let's raise one. Monga, not a player I really know much about.
Oh, this is a favourite of mine, and he is young. He did hold the record for being the youngest player to play in the Premier League at one point, I think, until Max Donovan of Arsenal took it over from him. But this guy he's a potential. He is a potential winger. He is someone who is sort of not ready yet, but is someone who has a very high ceiling. He's rated as the best under 18s winger in the country, alongside Luca Williams-Barnett. So definitely someone, if Spurs were to do it, you go and get him, you loan him back out. It's going to be one of them scenarios. You do it like with Malia.
He's 16. I'm bringing the things up. He's 16, 12 matches, 1 goal, no assists. So
not bad for a 16-year-old in the Championship.
Yeah, I mean, he's not playing under 21s, is he? He's actually playing senior men's football. So I mean, that's a good return.
Yeah, 12 games as well. That for a 16-year-old. That is good. I mean, like Cal said, it's a good player, very good, high ceiling. I don't think he's anything that we need to think about in a first team material. Personally, if we could get him, great, but send him straight back to Leicester. If he's playing 12 games, keep him playing there. We'll take him in a year, maybe even 18 months. We've got a lad that out in Rangers that can come back as well, and that's what I think. Cal mentioned Kolo Muani as a stopgap, which we've agreed on other podcasts, and I think he was a stopgap because we didn't get what we want, and it was a good idea to send Mikey Moore out to get some senior football, and then we can look at him and how he progresses maybe for the future as well. But yeah, Monger is a good player. 12 games at 16 years of age. I mean, I know what I was doing at 16 and it weren't playing in the Championship. That's for sure.
Is there any truth, Callum or Gary? Is there any truth? I mean, a player that I know Tom likes as well as I like him, Nathan Ducat at Anderlecht. Is there any truth in this 17-year-old kid? Because he looks an absolute bowler, what I've seen of him in the video.
I know me and Gary both discussed
it, right? Yeah. I didn't know a huge amount about him. Callum mentioned he was, exceptional. So I had a little look, and he looks very good. Again, 17 years of age. We're looking at these age ranges again. These are the players we've been linked with, and I know there's some people in the chat have said, we need players that are ready now that can come in. Don't particularly think he is ready yet.
I get that. You have to progress in all aspects and areas of the club, don't you? So, I mean, I know
John Lange is very.
They'd say, why are you getting this 17-year-old in? But like, if someone's such a shit, get them in anyway. But make sure you strengthen the first team first, the first team squad first.
I think the alignment needs to be there. And I think if we can improve the first team, but also bring in a number of good young players such as him and Munger as well, then go and get those. But I think that the money needs to be spent in the right areas to improve us right now for us to progress, because we are regressing at the moment. Callum's a big fan of his as well, aren't you, Cal?
Talking about central midfield, another name that's come up again is him.
This is like a shit that won't flush, if you get what I mean. This is
Leandro Damião again, isn't it?
It's Damião. It's like Bastoni I saw the other week. It's bloody Lautaro Martinez. All of these people.
Leao.
Yeah.
Mr.
Don't.
Stubbs, can I take his name out of the list of players?
Yeah. Please do.
Yes.
Very good. Right. The other one, I hope I've spelt that right.
Samuel Aguero,
Yeah. I think I've spelt that right. At Porto, striker. I don't watch enough Portuguese football to know much about him, other than the fact that he scores a lot of goals. And he has a release clause of £87 million. And I think you said, Cal, on one of the chats, Porto will want the release clause.
No.
Yeah, so the sort of business model that Portuguese clubs operate on is if they put a release clause in it, you're paying it or you're giving them guarantees that you're going to pay it. Let's put it that way. So do you remember all the grief that we had with Porro? The only way we got his fee down was by giving up part of our sell-on clause with Marcus Edwards when he was there. That was purely the only reason it was done, to get the value of what they wanted. Aguilar is someone they've looked at. He's someone they appreciate. Someone who I'm not a big fan of, to be honest, because I think he's a bull in a china shop sort of striker. He's a bit too bolshy for me. He's kind of like when Romelu Lukaku first come on the scene. He's a bit of a wrecking ball type who is quite heavy-footed with it. But for that figure, unless he's going to come in as guaranteed first-team striker, which I don't think is at that level yet, I don't think they would spend it, to be honest, because he's not versatile enough to operate across the front line. He is more of an out-and-out striker in that, and you'd be better off putting that money towards Muani.
Well, that was where I was taking you. Gary, what's the track on? I mean, he hasn't scored a league goal yet, Muani, and yet I sometimes think he doesn't do enough, but I don't think he gets the service either. Is he someone we are going to be looking to go perm on?
I think it's probably too soon for him to make that decision, as well as us. We haven't seen the best of him. but he is the best of what we've got. Which that we don't have a huge amount, but he is quite clearly the best we've got in terms of potential and ability. But at the minute, we've got a Brazilian number 9 that seems to want to score goals and looks dangerous when he's about. And he is a ball in a China shop as well. I don't know on Moani yet. There's no guaranteed purchase either. I think this is a trial for both, and we'll see. But I certainly haven't heard anything of permanence being even talked about at this stage.
Yeah,
because he's going to bear in mind as well. He cost 95 million euros to PSG.
Who did?
We're not going to. Moani cost 95 million to go to PSG. He's not going to. Obviously, they're not going to demand that higher sum, but they're going to want to recruit as much as possible. And I don't think we've seen enough for him for us to go, okay, let's go for it. It hopefully comes good, but I feel for him. He's had the broken jaw. He's had the dead leg that the world's longest dead leg. These type of things. So it hasn't gone right for him just yet, and he's been moved in and around different positions. So I think it's still probably too early.
Are there any legs to Mainz Eclouche of Monaco? Because I like this midfielder, could play in various roles.
He's always linked, isn't he, Carl? Like, he can play right, he can play left, he plays number 10. He's got the opportunity, the ability to play on them. And there's been talk of him along with Savinho and various others. I'm not sure on how concrete those talks are, but I know there's interest. But it's probably interesting a lot of players, and they're not at the stages.
Yeah, they seem to be a lot of list players at the moment. They're like, obviously the way that it works now, Paratici has senior players that he's looking at. Lange has the sort of under 21 integration stage in it, and they both then sort of amalgamate their lists for it. And Eclouche is definitely on there. There's obviously lots of other good players, but Eclouche has been watched. It's just never gone fully further forward since the summer, if you get what I mean. There were conversations with Monaco, but that's where it ended. So I don't know whether it was down to the fee that they wanted or whether it was something else, but he's a good player. And I think, like you, Adrian, I'm a big fan of his, and I know Gary's a big fan of his as well. I think he was the first player you bought on FM for Spurs this year, weren't he?
Yeah, the new game, he was the first player I bought in. Yeah,
on that, I don't want to, steal Ian's thunder, but on that, we know that we definitely need a left back at this football club, right? I don't want a right-footed player playing left back, right? I like left-footed players in left-footed positions, right-footed players in right-footed positions. So the only one I've heard about is Nathaniel Brown at Eintracht Frankfurt. I like this player. I do like him. He's so fast, right? And he's really good, and he's good defensively as well. He's not a one-trick pony. Has this got any legs, Nathaniel Brown, guys?
There is interest there, and Spurs have spoken to Frankfurt to see what the conditions of the deal are. We are looking at a 45 million fee minimum.
Pay it.
So if we are going to pay it, he's going to want to be first team left back, and Doggy will have to make do for backup. That's the position we're in, so they have to consider that.
Another thing the fan base have not taken in consideration with these transfers is, believe it or not, we can offer them Champions League football. Gary?
Yeah. We can at the moment, and I think we can offer them that. And a number of positions as well. Like you said earlier, that there's clubs around Europe that have got quite a bloated team and squads that we can offer them game time leading up to the World Cup. Obviously, the World Cup is so important to a number of the players, and I'm a big fan of Nathaniel Brown. I think he's a fantastic footballer. Yeah. Very, very quick. We have someone on our show a lot that's from Frankfurt. He talks very, very highly of him.
Is he a realistic target?
He's the only one I've heard at left back.
Cal?
He is the most prominent one at the moment. There are a few others, but they are, and this is where I know I'm going to get pelters, they are on the potential scale. There is a guy from Atalanta who they like, who can play left back and left centre back, but he's 17. There's Makoko from Ajax as well, who is very young but can't move until he's 18. There's tentative interest in one from Toulouse as well, and Lorient. There's 2 young left backs there, but Nathaniel Brown is the most higher profile one, who is more senior out of all of them. They are looking at the younger profile on the left back because of how physical the left backs are. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Okay. We're done at 2 hours. Let's just talk about another couple of players that have been linked. I mean, Yildiz, what's the latest on that? And a big no from Gary.
No, I don't think there's much legs to it, really, because he's so highly valued at Juventus. They're talking to him about a new contract. I know that. Alessandro Del Piero, which is obviously an absolute god in Juventus, has publicly stated they should be building the future of the club around him. So I don't see him moving. He's very, very well liked in Juventus and Turin. So no, I don't think that's a possibility.
Yeah, hang on. I'm just sending a message back to Harry. And we talked about Mamouche. Another name I saw linked earlier, Ruben Neves. Surely this is nonsense.
Yes and no.
There is so bad.
Right. Is that why you're? That's why Tom's hiding his hands right now. He's enjoying himself over this one, ain't he?
I just, for me, it just seems like a no-brainer. Like he's Premier League proven. He is a ball-winning, ball-progressing midfielder. He does all roles of a midfielder, and he can ping passes for absolute fun. And he is going to come in. He knows the league, and he'll perform at a good level.
From day one.
I just think exactly.
And he's 28. And he's 28.
Yeah, he's experienced. For me, it just seems like an absolute no-brainer. I mean, there's a few midfielders I would like us to get. But if we're looking at we want to be spending big in potentially left back, left wing, striker, and you want to get a player who shouldn't demand a huge fee, is he coming to the end of his contract as well in Saudi and stuff? So like, for me, this just seems like an absolute no-brainer of a player. I wanted him before he went to Saudi. I wanted him from Wolves. So yeah, I hope he hasn't lost a step since being in Saudi Arabia.
Tom, he won't need the money then. He won't need the money if he's been in Saudi.
I think he's going to get
tax issues out there. Are there not big tax issues about bringing players back from Saudi?
No, because it's after a certain period of time. Yeah.
So he's been
I think it's
long
3 years.
Yeah, he's been there long enough. But I think he'll end up at Manchester United. There's everything today was like
alongside Cunha.
It was like 20 million for him as well, which again I think is an absolute steal. It's a no-brainer for me.
The fees are low, the wages are high. The wages that he wants are high.
Yeah. Before we go on to the last bit and we conclude, Gary, what is your channel called? I've blanked on it.
Project Spurs.
Project Spurs.
Project Spurs. I don't know why.
Get up there, guys. Have you got the link in?
I haven't. Gary, have you got a link?
Put the link up, Gary. Then
you could just if you follow me on Twitter at Gary R Ward, it's in my bio. You'll find it there. Basically, it's Project Spurs without the O and the E. So and then just one word. So, but a lot of the stuff comes through mine. I'm currently sharing this stream to my Facebook and Twitter accounts as well. So it's you'll be able to find me on there.
And I will just like to give the channel another plug because we got over 200 of you.
Hang on, Adrian. Before you do that, what I was going to say for our audience, can you please like and subscribe to Project Spurs, Gary's channel? And if you're with Project Spurs, please can you come across to Spurs Diehards and like and subscribe to ours, please. We will be doing this regularly, at least for the next few weeks. Maybe longer, but certainly a format I've really enjoyed doing and getting different guests on to do different bits. So please, will you do that? Helps both of us enormously. We're over 200 at the moment, so that's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, Adrian, you wanted to if you wanted to do a quick.
Yeah, I just want to say to those that have joined us late, like, you obviously like the content, you're staying with us this length of time, so you can see the red subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Come on, guys, it doesn't take long. Only takes a second to subscribe to the channel, another second to give this video the thumbs up, because it helps our algorithm. It helps you bring good content. The content is free, guys. A lot of work goes into behind the scenes, mainly like Ian does, even just to think up the questions to ask and create an interesting atmosphere and channel. It's not as easy as it seems. So please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. We do memberships, £2 a month. It's the only one we do. You know, we also appreciate the fact if you do take up a membership. Like I say, you can find us on XCOM, Spurs Diehards. You can find us on Facebook. We do have a WhatsApp group for any of you that would like to be guests on the show. We just need to get your phone number, which you can private message us through XCOM or through Facebook, so as it's secure. And then we can add you to the WhatsApp group. And our WhatsApp group is mature and sensible. I mean, I left all the other ones which were toxic. I'm not having that. So yeah, please subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up. It costs nothing, takes a few seconds, yeah? And we've
Gary, look, I'm going to raise two more things. Going to talk about Paratici and then the low knees. But one name I want to throw out there. It was linked in the summer, but I haven't seen anything since. And to me, he's an absolute ideal player for what we're looking at left centre back, come left back, and that's Nathan Ake at Manchester City, who doesn't get much game time there. Is there any possibility we could go for someone like that?
I think it comes down to, again, like we've said at the multiple times, bloated squads, players looking for game time leading into the World Cup. He's got two players there, Van der Ven and Xavi Simons, that he knows very well, probably slotting quite well. I would have loved to have had him in the summer. I thought he would have been perfect fit for us.
Yeah, me too.
I think equally, I know they've looked at a centre back. I don't know if Nathan Ake is on that list. I know they were interested in centre backs. I just don't want to in any way have something that will stand in the way of Luka Vuckovic's overall future.
Yeah.
Personally, from me, if I was Paratici, or if he does leave, if I was the director of football now, all my attention would be on a centre midfield and that left side of attack, because I feel that Mickey van der Ven could cover that left side if we need him, and we can then bring in Vuskovic or another centre back. Mickey van der Ven said publicly on the Gary Neville's whatever that's called, that he likes play and he prefers to play left back. However, he feels comfortable at centre back. That for me rings in my head that we've got that cover if we need it, and I would like us to strengthen the areas we need, and then we can move back. Nathan Ake would be spot on. Proven.
Cal, that's why I've raised Ake, and I try and avoid just bunging names in and what have you, rather than, the purpose of this show, Cal, you've done it before, of name solid links that we're choosing, chasing. But with Ake, he could play left centre half, and Mickey could play outside him, or they could swap. I mean, to me, I just think he's a no-brainer of a signing. But
it's a winner as well, right? He's won the Premier League. He's won. You've got to get winners in, and that's why Christian Romero, to me, is a liability. However, he has done something none of those other players have done. He's won everything that he's been in, and you need that around you. That's why, for me, it was absolutely bonkers that we didn't go and get Jack Grealish, that was available on a loan. That would have been that great stopgap for us. He's won everything, and he can help these younger players. And again, Nathan Ake has won everything. And these are the type of signings that we should be making while we look at the younger players like Cal speaks about. That's, in my mind, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Cal, any thoughts on that?
I think Ake is definitely someone who would offer experience. My reservations over Ake is that they always sort of struggle to sort of balance stuff with these older players. I think Ake would be sort of a stopgap signing. I would take Ake on loan if we was going to do stuff. But that's where my sort of information ends. It would be a balancing act with Aki that they, like Gary said, they wouldn't want to block the path of, say, Vuskovic. And there are other feelings as well. There's someone else out on loan who we need to consider whenever we consider defence. Ash Phillips. Ash Phillips is not actively being looked to be sold by the club. So I think that realistically, we have to appreciate that there is more chance of Takai and Dragusin leaving the club at this position compared to Vuskovic and Phillips, if you get what I mean.
Takai hasn't even had a game.
No.
Good Janai Byfield. Very young, but got a massive ceiling. Just under his first professional.
Another favourite of yours, Gary, Roswell as well.
I think he's this last 2 months, he's come on leaps and bounds. He's such a good footballer. He's still very young. He's just, like you say, just such a good player. And again, he assists yesterday from a corner. It's a centre back taking from corner, and he's assisting. I'm a big fan of his. We've got some good young players in there, and this is why I think keeping people like Christian Romero, even getting a Nathan Aki in, and a Jack Grealish, they type of players that won things. And they can help progress these youngers, but they need to have the right mentality. They need to have the right personality that they want to do that and bring these people through. That's where I would be.
The issue with that is that they're not going to get the game time. I mean, Ash Phillips, when I see him at Blackburn before we got him, I mean, as much as I like Danso, he's better on the ball than Danso is. He progressed the ball upfield as well. I've seen him go and charging runs before. I mean, so, and then you mentioned Vuskovic. I mean, like, we bought him for 12 million as a 16-year-old from Magic Split. He goes out to Poland, smashes it, right? Goes out to Belgium, smashes it. He's now in the Bundesliga, which is better than our championship, right? Let's be fair, standard-wise. And he smashes it, apart from the early game when they got spanked 5-0 by Bayern at home, Hamburg. I mean, like, got the best headers in Europe for a defender. He's very good on the ball. I mean, like, he is at his age. I mean, he couldn't even train with us and be registered with us because he wasn't 18 till February, so he couldn't be added to our squad. You can't even you can't even change in the dressing room till you're 18 with the senior squad anyway. And I just think Vuskovic must be added to the squad in the summer. And all this talk about Bastoni and all the others in. For me, I mean, it's only my opinion. For me, no, you bring Vuskovic in.
Adrian, hang on a sec. I mean, is there any possibility of Vuskovic coming back this window? Because I'm not really worried about the summer now.
No.
I don't think he'll come back. No. The one of the reasons I think it's going so well for him is obviously his older brother was at Hamburg. I think he's kind of signed, but he isn't. He was done for he was suspended, and the club are still behind him. That's what the free Vuskovic sign that you'll see is that they're trying to that the club are very behind his brother. So the family are very, very highly regarded and liked in Hamburg, and I think that's partly as well that's helped him with that. He's settled in very well because it's just he's been around it, family's there, etc. Family visit a lot. So, but no, I think it'd be silly to cut that off now unless we get a major injury to one of our starters that's out for a period of time. I don't see that they're cutting his loan move now.
Yeah. Okay. So any loanees coming back?
We're likely to see Donnelly return. There's major reservations over where he stood at Stoke. So there has been tentative interest from other Championship clubs, League One clubs, and European clubs as well. In Bundesliga 2, in Spain, and in the Netherlands as well. So Donnelly's likely to return. We're going to look at Yamin Hook returning. He's likely to go either to top Championship or to a top European club. There's no interest from Real Madrid. That is a complete and utter waffle link. Let's put it that way. I saw them links about a week ago, and I didn't even gratify it with a response. I just thought, because if I posted this is bollocks online, I'd probably get monetized or attacked for it or something like that. But they're the most likely ones to come back. Mikey Moore's going to stay at Rangers. They're happy with how he's gone. Lancashire, they're happy. They want him getting the game time like he is. Alfie Devine, some people would like him to come back, but there's complications with the clauses that are in his contract. That's very difficult. Yeah, I definitely would. I would take me, and I'm sure Daigle would as well. We'd love him back at Spurs or at a proper club, but leave him where he is. All the rest of them are lower. We're likely to see more youth loans go out, though. There's a chance that people like Callum Olosesi, Ty Hall, Tiernan Thompson, maybe even Byfield and Barnett could be looked to go out on loan. Get them first options to go out.
You've got to be 18 to go out on loan. You've got to be 18 by law.
Only to European clubs. You can go out on loan when you're 17 to other English clubs.
No, I didn't know that. So I stand corrected. It's fair enough.
Yeah, no, so they could go out on loan in this country if they wanted to. But it's a difficult one. Realistically, I wouldn't bring many more youngsters back because they are progressing well, or unless they're dead ducks out there, if you get what I mean. And if we do that, then we end up in the same category we was discussing earlier. All these young players that we've got in the squad, when Frank's not even exposing until the last couple of games, Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall. We've had Scarlett sitting there all the way through, hasn't played. We've got Takai there. He's been back from injury for a month now, hasn't played. So that's the scenario. Kinski as well, Odebear, Tell. These players aren't getting the game time. So why should we bring more players back to stagnate, if you get what I mean?
Yeah, makes sense.
And it's the same with more of the other.
Go back to the quality of the recruitment, though. Tell, Odebear, Kinski, Takai, players that were brought in with a view to them being, decent first team players just aren't there.
It's actually,
I like Tell and Odebear actually, and I think that when you watch them play for the French under 21s, and that I know it's under 20 and 11, but they're two. I think they're the ones that are in between Championship and actually Premier League. I think they're in that zone. And all right, Odebear looks a bit lightweight at times, but he's reputably the most skillful player at the club. Next one's Madison, apparently. That's what the reports I've received. But I don't mind them going out on loan. But at the same time, we don't know what the shape of the squad's going to be like after the transfer window. And you can't bring youngsters back and just leave them on the bench. That doesn't help their development, does it? So as much as fans scream, oh, play the youngsters, it's very hard. And then the manager does, and you lose a game. Oh, what's he play the kids for? So you can't win as a manager.
Let's last question. We've been going 2.25 hours. So Paratici going back to Italy. Who wants Callum? You want to pick up that?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So this is a complete fall off from the club side. They gave Langer a lot more control when he first came to the club. Paratici lost a lot of his people in restructures. Paratici has been trying to get a lot of these guys back, and it hasn't worked. He wants full control, and at Spurs he hasn't got it. Simple as that. And
so he's definitely off.
Fiorentina, there is a 90% chance that he's gone. They are offering double the money that he's on at Spurs. They have given him full control of their sporting project. So he will be director of football operations for them instead of just director of football or director of sporting. He will cover everything for Fiorentina. He will have the remit, the full rebuild there, because I know we were speaking about it last night on Project. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Jose, fucking hell, Jesus, Jose.
Buenos dias, buenas noches, amigo. Yeah.
Realistically, Fiorentina are in a bigger shit show than us.
When you hear the outro music in a few minutes, you'll enjoy it, I think.
Yeah, that's Ian's song anyway. Yeah.
Sorry,
I don't think he's going. I mean, like when when I read the reports and listened to what he was saying about, he was very grateful to be coming back, and the fact that the fans supported him, even though we knew it was a bit shady about him. We don't know who's really to blame at Juventus, just that we know that the club was corrupt at the top. And I don't think he'll go. I mean, I don't think he needs the money.
Callum, you just said it's a done deal. He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
I said 90%.
I think 90%.
Well,
Yeah,
we'll
the last,
tell you what, I
the
think
last,
we'll know in the next 2 or 3 days.
The last stumbling block is Spurs.
Mm.
The last stumbling block is Spurs. They've got to agree a package or a severance with it, but Paratici is actively negotiating with Fiorentina at this time.
El Tel's been on the mild line.
Yeah, Jose's been on the sauce tonight. Right, listen, I think we've exhausted it. Gary, you got any last comments?
No, I think that I think he probably will go. It's disappointing. Fiorentina are current before the game today. They were rock bottom of Serie A. They hadn't won a game all season. They look like they're probably going to get relegated. They won tonight, 5-1. My only comment on him really is it's disappointing that we were loyal to him and we continued to give him work and stood by him during all this 30 months or whatever it was suspended, and then at the quickest way that he sort of turns his back. So something has happened. It's disappointing, but hey, we move on. It just needs that alignment now. We need to make sure that the alignment with Lange and Thomas Frank is as straight as it can be, because the future, especially the short term, and I think the next 4 or 5 years, really depends on how we act over the next 7 months, 8 months.
Yeah,
it would be a shame if he goes, because he restructured our whole academy. When Dean Rastrick left, we then broke the pay structure because we thought we shouldn't give young players too much money, but other clubs do it, so we started doing it, and the whole thing changed at those levels. And I like what he's done. I think his signings have been pretty good, more hits than misses. Yeah, I mean, so why would he go to Fiorentina? I mean, they're not big as Spurs. I don't get it.
Control, full control. I would assume that he's wanting ABC player, and the club are telling him we can't have them, we can't afford it, or they're not prepared to. Fiorentina, on the other hand, might go, okay, let's go for it. You know, they've got a bit more of a to dare to do attitude than perhaps our ownership has. That might be the reason. Fiorentina are a huge club in Italy. They're obviously very well known. They can't afford to get relegated. They just can't. And being back in Italy for him, it's interesting. I'm very, very surprised by it. But hey, we have to move on. If you don't want to be here, get off the bus now. I don't want you.
Yeah, that's true. If you want to be at my club, go.
Tom,
and that goes for any player. That goes for any player. If you don't want to be here, go.
Yeah.
But no, nothing else from here. We've covered most of what I've heard as well. Well, pretty much everything that I've heard.
Yeah. We'll do another show. I'll talk about a show next week. Any last comments, Tom?
No, just on Paratici. Although I think he brought in some good players, I don't think he ever brought in a good manager. I know he kind of got Conte in, but before Conte came in, it was an absolute shit show. Gattuso, and play, and then Nuno and stuff. So I never felt. I've always felt with Paratici that he likes Italian football, and Italian football is notoriously defensive, which just has never matched up with what Spurs fans want. So I've always found it a bit of an odd marriage, to be honest with you in that regards. If he does go, my only questions would be: are they going to get another sporting director in, or is it just going to be all in Langer's hands? Was it kind of a case of they've been loyal to Paratici, and because they were loyal to him, they wanted to give him position, so they sort of shoehorned a position for him alongside Langer, and it's just obviously gone Pete Tong quite clearly, and therefore now is Langer just going to have full control of that, which I have concerns about. Langer seems to be very good at picking up good young players, but anything outside of that, not so much in itself.
Okay.
The only possible good thing about Paratici going through on Tina is that he might try and get like Bentancur or something like that to go along there, pick up some of our loose
take
parts.
all our dross. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised either. The guy that's coming from Man City, his name does
Rafinha or something. Yeah, so he's going to be in total
he might
control.
take over a number of the things that Paratici would be doing, negotiating, things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised that his appointment has kind of upset the apple cart a little bit.
Yeah,
You've got some good signings in.
Okay.
Yeah, again, it's coming from a club that has won everything, got a winning mentality, he's been part of those things. So you could see that as a good sign potentially. Just need to proof needs to be in the pudding now, doesn't it?
And then Guardiola signs in the summer. Great.
Or no,
Guardiola signs, I'll shave my hair.
Xavi in the summer. Xavi.
If I were to do this show,
I'll join you with that, Gary.
Yeah, for me in the summer, look, if we finish below, if we finish anywhere where we are now or below, there'll be a change in the summer. I would have thought.
Yeah.
And the World Cup is a big thing because there's going to be a lot of managers out of contract. However,
a lot of managers sacked after the World Cup.
Yeah, and the World Cup final is at the end of July, and then the pre-season starts a couple of weeks later. So it's going to be very, very tight turnarounds. And I know for me, there's one person, and he's currently in America. So who knows what's going to happen?
Matt Wells.
Matt Wells,
yeah.
I like my Matt Wells.
You mean David Beckham's a Chingford boy who always wanted to play for Tottenham?
He was at Tottenham.
Don't.
He was.
Let's not go there.
He could do a job on that right-hand side for us. I'm sure he could just pick some balls and set pieces and things. But no, I think this is a really big couple of months, not only for Thomas Frank, but for the future of the club. And I hope it gets right, because I don't think we should be going through more recycling of managers. Equally, in the summer, there's going to be a lot of people there that are potential available. So it's going to be interesting.
Okay, well, Cal's just gone. I was going to ask everybody, just from my own circumstances, if I wanted to do this show next Monday, which is the 29th, is that a possibility?
You do what you want, Ian.
Yeah, I know, but I know I can do what I want. It's just my daughter said, "Come over. I'll do some dinner. We'll watch the Spurs match." No doubt, by the time
you do the family first, it's more important than Spurs.
Well, absolutely. Look, I might do this show next Monday. It's a successful show, the Sunday night show. We'll talk, Adrian, and we'll see.
I won't be available Monday, unfortunately. I'm going to watch MK Dons play. I live quite close to MK Dons, so I'm going to be at the game.
To where?
Can you get us the next Dele Alli then while you're there?
Yeah, I'll try. I was actually coaching there when he was.
Yeah,
I coached at MK Dons, and it was incredible.
Sad
Cal, can you do next Monday? 29th. I'll talk in the week. Because if people can't do it,
try.
Adrian can do it on the Sunday, or Tom can hack it on the Sunday. We'll see. Right. Look, I want to thank everybody else. Everybody
Great
that's been on.
Thank you for your content.
I want to thank all the guests. I want to thank in particular the audience, both from Project Spurs, Gary's and ours. As I said earlier, if you're a Project Spurs person, please come onto the YouTube Spurs Diehards TTID, and give us a like and a subscribe. Similar to my audience, if you're not a subscriber and like Project Spurs, please go on to Gary's channel and do that. There's been a great little mix tonight. Some really good chat. 220 odd of you on at the moment, which is fantastic. My voice is going, which is a good excuse to get a glass of wine and what have you. Gary, I've followed you on Twitter. I don't know how I've missed you, but I've got you now. Cal, thanks for coming on. Callum. So I don't know if you want to say any more about your channel before we log out, Gary.
Look, we're trying to do the same. I've come from a live events promoter. I was doing that for a number of years. I decided I needed some creative outlet in my life still. Obviously, I love Tottenham, been a Tottenham fan for 35 years, since I was 5. Decided I wanted to do a bit of content creating, really, just to keep me going. Harry was very, very generous and asking me to come on. And then I wanted to start doing my own thing as well as helping others. I just want to help people.
Yeah,
so if you've ever, anybody in the chat, if you've ever gone, I wouldn't mind trying that, I'll put you on the show. It is weird. I'm sat here looking at a TV screen with some light shining on me to make me try and look a little bit handsome if I can. It is strange, and it takes a little while for you to get used to it. But if you just want to try it, there's a platform with me. You're more than welcome. Everybody is welcome. I might not agree with things that I said. Some of the things that I said tonight, I don't agree with personally. But there's not going to be any conflict. Your opinion matters just as much as mine does, and that's the greatest thing. Is we're talking about Tottenham and we're trying to share positivity about it when we can. But yeah, I just wanted to create that channel, and Callum was very generous coming on and helping me as well with it. He's an equal part as I am to it, and we've become good friends as well. We've only recently met, a couple of months, but we text most days. So I really appreciate you bringing me on, and please support this channel just as much as coming over to ours.
And if you want to, I know you're in a WhatsApp group now, Gary, as is it Philip King and Six Spurs as well. So if any of you guys have got, people, we pride ourselves on being mature and sensible. And like you summed it up, we can disagree, but we don't browbeat people here and all that. If you've got an opinion that's different than mine, I just accept it. I'm not going to go anywhere further with it. But if you've got anyone you want to add to the WhatsApp channel, they're more than welcome to do it. If they're mature and sensible, we just need their phone number basically and their name. If you've got any you want to add, and then that gives you a bigger sink to pull from for your guests as well. That's all well and good,
Yeah, that'd be great. And again, thanks for having me and Callum on, and obviously promoting Project Spurs. I've just put it. Oh, I have got it right. I've just put it here because I took the O and the E out because it just looked a little bit nicer for branding purposes, to be completely honest with you. But most of the stuff goes through my channels just because, like I said before, the background I was in got quite decent social media following of myself. So I've tried to use that platform then to create the one with Tottenham as well. So I need more Tottenham people to follow. So yeah, please do. And if you ever want to come on and talk to Spurs, me and Callum are normally available if I'm not got a Football Manager save on this screen over here that I'm currently about to load now for the next 5 hours.
You'll find me, Ian, and Tom available. Tom's very busy with the newborn, but I mean, you'll find us available.
Absolutely,
if you need
welcome anytime. I think the next one we're going to do, we might do a little bit of a chat just for me and Callum tomorrow, and then the plan is after the Crystal Palace game, we're going to go live immediately after the game. That seems to be doing very well for us. We've done 2 shows now. Obviously, yesterday I was at the game, so Callum hosted it, and we got a very good response. I think I just had a look at the numbers. I think I just sent it to Callum through my Twitter anyway. There has been 2,500 people have watched that.
Wow,
brilliant
number for us to go. First one was around the similar as well. So straight after games, having those instant reactions. So which we're going to do on Sunday, on the next game against Crystal Palace. And if anyone wants to come on, even if you want to come on for 5-10 minutes just to say your piece and leave, you're absolutely welcome. More the merrier. And the next sort of things that we're looking at doing.
Brilliant. Gary, been a pleasure having you on, Cal, and you. It's great to see you two working so well together and feeding off each other on the channel as well.
Don't go to a game with him though, because he won't share his chips. We went to the under-18s and he wouldn't share his chips.
£3.50 or something for a bag.
You are so tight. He is a tight so and so, because literally I bought chips. He didn't want to go and buy any. I just sat there just picking at them like a seagull out of my blinking tray.
Well,
you always live by that bloody story. You're a dick.
We do cover the under-18s. We try to go to the under-18s games in Stevenage. I live in Cambridge, so it's very, very easy for me to. Well, just outside Cambridge, but I just say Cambridge because it's easier. But we go to the under-18s very as much as we can. We'd cover a lot of on our main podcast. We have a section dedicated for our youth, which mainly the under-18s and the UEFA Youth League side and the academy.
I've got to be honest, Gary. I mean, when I watch the youth games, I get more joy out of watching most of them than I do Premier League games.
Yeah,
they all go for it. You'll either get spanked 5-2 like they did the other day, or you're going to win 5-2, or you get 4-4s and all. I think it's brilliant. I think the under-18s and under-21s are brilliant.
And they've got that to dare is to do attitude. And I was actually there, funny enough, in the game that me and Callum went to. My old coach was the person that taught that did all my coaching badge, was actually there, and he scouts for West Ham, and Tottenham's one of his clubs he scouts for. And he said, like, it's nice to see all these young lads, but the reality is so many of these won't make it, and they are putting everything they can into making it, and it's lovely to watch it. It really is, and it's nice to try and use a platform we're trying to grow to promote our youth as well, because there's a lot of people that are very interested in our youth academies, and we should talk about that, and we should promote them. And
there's a lot of clubs interested in our players as well abroad as well. We're in danger of losing a few.
There is. So yeah, these are the things we're doing, and everybody's welcome. And obviously, I thank Callum for all the hard work he does, and you guys for allowing us to come and talk as well.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks as well to my regular Tom. As ever, brilliant contribution. The audience, there's more and more people coming in, but I think it's my bedtime and I've got the doctors tomorrow. So, and
before we say goodbye, we want to wish you all a very happy Merry Christmas and a happy New Year. And Ian's going to play you out with a piece of music that he wrote.
Yeah, Nita. Yeah, no, we don't complain as Spurs supporters. Thanks, everybody. Guys, I'll see you in the back room when the music's finished.
We are Tottenham diehards. Something I can't explain. We follow through sun and rain. When we lose, we don't complain. Yes we do, oh we do. But Tottenham Hotspur, I will love you till I die. I will love you, I die. I will love you till I die, till I die, till I die. We follow through sun and rain. When we lose, we don't